we go. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Gamers Breakfast. My name is SkojSkull, and I got my co-host with me, Jalbagel.
That's me, Bagel.
Oh no. And then we got our two guests with us today. We got Nigiri21Sushi and Rune911. 911.
Thank you guys so much for joining us.
Thanks
I know
for
it took us
inviting us back again.
It took us like 3 weeks to plan this. Definitely
It was my fault.
One singular. Oh, okay, cool. He's gonna own up to it. Definitely Skoj's fault.
I thought like last time when we were gonna post this or record this, we were just like, all right, I'm ready. I should be ready because I was gonna bring in my PC and just set up everything that night. But then it was just like I got home super late, and then the next morning I had to work. I was like, oh god.
Yeah. Yeah, because it wasn't until like the next day at like 8 p.m. that you messaged me and you're like, all right, computer's all set up. Do we want to do a podcast? I was like, hell no.
But yeah,
thank you for joining us, guys.
Yeah, welcome back.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for inviting us. Yeah.
New and improved layout since last time.
Ooh, I'm excited to see.
Yeah, and not only that, but this is the Wild Hearts edition of the podcast. I have not played it personally, but as a collective, we all have over 400 hours worth of playtime. So without me, it's over 400 hours. Wait, actually, let me see how much time I have in this game.
Grand total of 10 hours.
It's important. Exactly.
Okay,
it's
so
important.
Over 4 hours and 38 minutes worth of playtime.
Wow.
There
Just
you go.
making your character 4 hours?
What?
Holy.
What?
Did you say 4 hours? That's what I heard.
As a collective, 4 hours and 38 minutes. So 38 minutes.
Yeah, for more than 4 hours by myself.
Oh yeah. 400. Shit. Sorry.
Okay, that's
My
we were missing
brain
100 there.
Was
The
not
hard-
Are you
working.
okay?
No.
Okay, that's there we go. Okay, I thought you said you had 4 hours and 30 minutes. You said you only had 30 minutes?
Yeah, I only have 38 minutes.
38 minutes. Oh, okay. Wow,
Yeah.
you made your character like speedrun style.
I don't know. I just made it as like made it look like my VTuber. Yeah, pick one.
Oh, look, they already did it for me. Done.
But yeah, welcome back, you guys. Since the last time, I just wanted to also say congrats on over 30,000 subscribers on your YouTube channel, which is absolutely insane.
We got
And
35 now.
35. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, this month was a good month.
Yeah, and congrats to Nigiri21Sushi for the what was it, over 8,000 followers on Twitch as well. Like you guys are like pumping
We're
it.
close to it. Yeah. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man. But as of recently, Wild Hearts came out about like a few weeks ago. Yeah, a few weeks ago, and some
2-3 weeks ago now.
Yeah, some of us got early review copies and were able to play it for a lot longer. And I don't know if we'll be going through spoiler territory today. I personally don't mind, but it's up to you guys.
Probably will.
Okay.
I want to have a conversation about the final boss at some point in time.
Yeah.
Because that is
go for
the
it.
thing.
I think we should. I would like to too, because the game's been out. I personally think for long enough that talking about this stuff is fun. And this, at least in my opinion, this is a game that a lot of people are on the fence about just because of performance. And so even if we can give our like informed experience of the game and also spoil some of it too, it's like a Monster Hunter game. Like knowing that the last monster is Fatalis doesn't really harm the fight itself, like the experience of actually fighting it and overcoming it. So Monster Hunter logic, yeah, sure, let's spoil everything. So hey, warnings, Wild Hearts spoilers. If you want to avoid it, we're going to talk about the game.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about like probably the experiences that we've each had.
Talking about the game.
Probably gonna we're gonna talk about the game, our experiences in it, and we're also gonna be talking about, I guess, some comparisons a lot of people have had questions about with like Monster Hunter and Wild Hearts. Spoiler alert: it's a different game.
What?
Yeah, it's so funny. They just took the M in Monster Hunter and they just flipped it upside down and we got Wild Hearts.
Right.
Pretty much.
Yeah, I hear people talking about that a lot. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
It's like the Wumbo meme from SpongeBob with the belt. They just flipped it over from Mini to Wumbo. So we talked a little bit, like Skoj talked a little bit about how some of us were able to get early access. I've wanted to ask you guys this like blatantly because I've talked to Rune about this a little bit in DMs. Hey, how long have you guys been playing Wild Hearts for? Since October?
So
Really?
here's the thing: we couldn't talk about it at TwitchCon when we met you guys. We were still under NDA, but the NDA was lifted like the last day of TwitchCon or something. So we were able to. So we put out a couple videos on YouTube talking about Wild Hearts then, and that was our first time playing it. And for me, I was playing this game, and I had my older computer, and was like, okay, I need to upgrade computer. So I bought a new computer pretty much because I wanted to play Wild Hearts.
Let's go.
Mm-hmm. We were like doing we had to fly. It was the same a week as TwitchCon. We had to fly at like I remember 6 a.m. that morning, and we were still playing the game at like 3 a.m. And it was like,
nice.
Oh gosh. But we wanted to play it so bad because it was going to end at that specific days of TwitchCon, but we had the limited time as well to play it, but it was really fun.
Because I remember traveling to San Francisco, because like after San Diego I went to San Francisco to go visit a friend, and I remember while traveling you guys like released those videos and those tweets. I was like, oh cool. So I was curious, like, you know, and you don't have to talk about this if you don't want to, but like I was curious, like were you guys able to play there? Did they give you a copy that was just like a testing like at home or something like that?
It was a demo version that we were able to play at home, so it was not the full game. They had locked down to the first 3 hunts. So in the game, when you get to Minato, we would just get a pop-up saying that's the end of the technical preview. We could repeat the hunts. We could do the group hunts, like we could hunt the different things together, but that was it. We never got to go inside of Minato. We never got to leave the first map, and we only got to play, I think, 4 of the weapons, and the other ones were just question marks. So
no,
like
3.
you know,
only 3 of the weapons.
I think we were only allowed to discuss 3, but I think they let us play with more. There were other ones that they were still in the refinement phase. So like you could tell like the game was completely built, but there were some things that they were still messing with the balancing on, and they didn't quite want to show us that yet.
Oh, okay.
That's super cool.
Yeah, that's really cool.
And so like a part of like your guys review experience, did they consult you like on the game at all, like, or was this just purely from like a review standpoint, like this is our interpretation of the game, this is our experience with the game, rather than like, hey, these are things that we noticed and could possibly make the experience better? Like, was it play test or was it review?
It was, they gave it to us and said, do whatever you want with the footage, but you can't release it until this date. So like that's different from what we did the second time. The second time was sponsorship, where they specifically said do these things. Gotcha. But sadly, we didn't get to work very closely with Koei Tecmo. We were working with EA. EA is the company that kind of front-ended things. And they were the publishers, and it was fantastic working with them. A great community. Can't get into too many details about what exactly we did with them and anything, but we will say it was EA that we worked with, and their support staff was phenomenal. Like you asked the question, and they were on top of it, responding to you.
I even noticed that just trying to get the early access copy, that all of the community managers that they have, because the EA has a handful of them, unlike what a lot of us are familiar with Monster Hunter, which is usually just like 1 or 2 hands-on people. They have like 6 community managers for that company. And like every week I was like finding another one. I was like, oh hey, I should probably follow this person on Twitter. And like, oh hey, this person DM'd me, I should follow them back. But I was shocked by how communicative they always were, and every single person that I talked to who reached out about early access the week that the game came out got it. Like every single person that directly messaged one of the community managers, the CM was like more than happy to be like, yeah, take it, dude, take it, please play the game, tell people about it.
That's awesome.
It was really cool to see, because like at least our experiences with Monster Hunter have always been so exclusive. Like it was always so weird. Like you never really knew the right channels to operate through, and when you did operate through them, you either got ghosted or just like a response back that says sorry, not this time, or sometimes you got it right. Like it was, being a Monster Hunter creator, I still don't feel confident in that I will get Monster Hunter promotion from the community managers, right? But with EA, it was very much like they wanted you to like play the game. So that I thought that was very cool.
That's
was it
cool.
EA or was it like, because EA has different like companies that are part of it, because is a different name, because Was it
Yeah,
EA?
so Koei Tecmo made the game, and EA
Yeah.
basically bankrolled it and published it. So,
Yeah.
so when a lot of people come in, they're like, "Hey, I don't want to play this game because EA and microtransactions." First off, they said outright, "No
Didn't even touch it.
microtransactions." And secondly, it's not EA; it's Koei Tecmo. But here's the
EA
thing:
Originals.
Koei Tecmo. Yeah, what are we gonna say? I don't know how to pronounce it. Tokaiden, whatever that game is.
Tokaiden. You had it right.
Zero penetration in the Western market, basically. Like.
You say that word on the internet? You say you can't just casually drop that.
Did you say that in meetings too? Just we need to penetrate this market.
This is actually something
Everyone's sitting there like,
good.
okay, we like the energy.
they just, people didn't know that game came out here.
Yeah.
I mean, in Japan, people were playing it, but people weren't playing it here.
No.
And having a big name like EA come out, do the EA publishing thing that they do, throw it on EA Play, do all the advertising that EA does, people knew that this game was coming out. So like that was what EA brought to the table, and that is what Koei Tecmo really needed, because they made 2 of these games already. The vast majority of people, even Monster Hunter players, the vast majority of them will have never heard of Tokaiden. So it's like they needed to change something.
Yeah.
And it was smart for them to do that, like right. I don't want to say like ride on the coattails, but at least like use the resources that another publisher is offering you. It's the same situation. You write a book, you can publish it yourself, sure, or like you have the New York Press do it, and they'll also advertise it, and it'll have their stamp of approval on it, and it'll get all of the advertising just from the fact that it was from them, because like that's the other thing too. It's like all press is good press, even bad press is good press. And when this game was coming out and EA's name was behind it, the only reason I heard about it was like, hey Jal, did you see that like game that EA is putting out that's Monster Hunter? Like it's going to be riddled with microtransactions. That's the only reason I looked into it. And when I did, I was like, oh, okay, this like actually, like Rune, you messaged me. This was really funny. Rune messaged me about the game like when it was announced, and he's like, dude, like you have any interest in like Wild Hearts? Like it's like such a cool game, like you should check it out. I was like, honestly dude, like zero interest, like I don't have like a lot of faith in EA and stuff like that. And I mean, I as perspective what you did, you're like, all right man, like I appreciate that, like you didn't like hound me about like, oh well you're wrong and like this, that, and the other thing. You're like, all right man, good. But that got me at least thinking like, well shit, Rune likes it, and I like the game that Rune likes. So maybe I should try it and like check it out and like actually look at it. And when they did the Q&A stuff, and when they were talking about like with the developers, the Q&A developer, and they were flat out asked, will this have microtransaction and like additional add-on at paid cost? And they're like, no, we're giving you guys free title updates.
Yeah.
Have fun. We're nothing, no microtransaction, nothing.
That I think is like very admirable, because it's just like they're very upfront about everything. Like all the like the big questions that everyone has had about the game before it was coming out, because that people want this game to succeed. They've been seeing like the trailers, they've been seeing like the gameplay, and they're just like, I want to play this game, but I don't want the things that we're worried about. And they were upfront and saying that it's not going to have microtransactions, it's not going to have this, it's not going to have that. And, so it's really good.
And for future reference, when I ping somebody, hey, are you interested in this thing? That might be my non-NDA way of saying, do you want to get in on this?
Because and it's funny, I wanted to bring that up. Like, yeah, Jalbagel brought that up, and Rune. I was like, we talk about a lot of the friends, like with its streaming friends. I was like, oh my gosh, this person is gonna like this. I was like, oh my gosh. It's like we kind of like nudge, but yeah, we kind of like nudge, wink, wink sort of thing. But it's like, yeah, we're not allowed to say anything. But I think you guys
we can't go past like, do you have any interest in this? And then we have to go, yes. I'm like, all right, cool, here it is.
I am.
Then we just pass your name, because you've worked with the agency that this was through, the one that we did the fundraising stuff through. So it wouldn't be a hard sell to say, hey, throw this person's name on there.
Yeah, I would say too, like I always appreciate that, looking out and stuff like that. But I'm happy I got into the game when I did, outside of the fact that it took me away from World for 2 weeks.
Oh my god! Yeah, that was
all
we were playing.
0%. Yeah.
Oh my god, the game came out. I played it for a week, and at the end of that week, GDQ announced that the submissions for SGDQ were open. I was like, fuck, and I still wanted to keep playing Wild Hearts, and so I did. And so I got incredibly rusty with World, and so I didn't do a submission for World this year. But like, I mean, that's fine. Like, Wild Hearts has been such a joy to play.
It's like a breath of fresh air, and it's
So yeah, I think we should like get into that. You know, let's talk about the first thing that everyone plays when we play the game. The first thing that everyone does, which is about the only thing that Skoj can talk about: the character creation. Let's talk about the character creation.
I love it. It's like
Love it.
crazy. You could make your butt so big. What?
Wow. Wow.
Give yourself a dump truck.
But no,
I
like
didn't realize that because I don't ever play around with body sliders and stuff.
Don't worry about it. The character creation has honestly been really, really amazing. I was surprised at how close I could make my character look to my VTuber, and that was what I was messing around with. So I did that, and I was like, oh, this looks really good. What the fuck?
What about you guys?
Yeah, I think my character's hair color has like 3 different highlights and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my gosh,
I really
this is so
like
cool.
that.
Yeah, even the eyelashes you can change. It's like, okay. So yeah, you can customize a lot of it. Like you guys talk about like the body sliding and all that stuff. It's like, oh my gosh, my model's so pretty.
One of the things that I really liked about the hair is that you had like your hairstyles and then like different add-ons that you could add to the hairstyles in the front and the back. So it was like they maybe had like 30 hairstyles, but then like another combination of like 200 possible arrangements. There was so much detail to it. And like you were mentioning, you had highlights, lowlights, and the base color. And then each one of those individual parts can be edited separately too. It's like they gave you so much freedom with this. And I think for a game, I mean, like for any kind of like RPG game where they want you to take on the role of someone in the story, like that's super smart. Having that level of detail in a character creator, super, super good.
Oh yeah.
Oh, and
Really
the tattoos too. Oh, go ahead.
Oh yeah.
The tattoos you can move around. Oh, sorry.
You go.
Sorry, no.
I'll come back to me.
No, go.
All right, I'm like the 3-minute character creation type, and that's probably a bit more than usual for me. The one thing I did with my character, though, I saw that there was like a ponytail option, so I did that. You guys have seen like the super American popsicles, like the red, white, and blue popsicles. I forget what they're called. That's the
Star Spangled popsicles.
Whatever they're called. I mean, I once went to a bar and they took those and they put it in like a vodka lemonade or something.
Yeah. What?
I mean, that was an amazing drink right there.
Ooh.
Wow.
That's the last time I saw one of those. That was I definitely recommend trying that lemonade, vodka, and then that popsicle. It works somehow. I don't know.
This is
It's
amazing.
either vodka or gin. I think they used. And you just dip in there. It's like, ooh.
Yeah.
But so your hairstyle is that?
I think it's like a red, white, and blue ponytail. I don't know. I was just like, let's mix a bunch of neon colors. I didn't realize it was going to be red, white, and blue until now when I'm thinking about it. And I'm like, yeah, I did kind of go with a red, a blonde, and a blue. So it was maybe more of a pink than a red, but you know.
Okay. Yeah. I like that.
Popsicle.
Something that I've been meaning to ask you. Because I keep forgetting. Does the game support multiple saves?
There are 3 saves.
Oh,
okay.
3 different save profiles, yeah. And when you go to load game, you can see the 3 different ones.
Okay,
when
cool.
I'm doing speedruns, I'm always worried that it might mess up my input. Because here's the thing. One time I loaded into a game when I was using mouse and keyboard, and it didn't line up with the one that was highlighted. So now every single time, I always make sure I use my controller because I know whatever's highlighted on it might have something to do with the confirm button or something. Like maybe when I move to get the confirm button, maybe it changed what I've highlighted. I don't know. I'm not messing with it. I'm not deleting my save.
Yeah.
Although it wouldn't take me that long to get back there, honestly.
Yeah, right. And then so the character creator, super in depth, super super fun. And then the next thing was they threw the katakuri shoot, what did they call it?
The bomb.
They call it the longsword. The first
Katana?
weapon. Katana, thank you. The katakuri katana. They gave you that as your first weapon and said, go explore until we tell you to do something else. Hey, that first, I want to go back now to the beginning and like try to fight that Death Stalker at the very beginning again. Because it felt different than the one that you actually fight in the game.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wait, the stalker is the wolf-looking thing, right?
The wolf one, the ice wolf.
I felt like I could do it, but then my character only took a few hits, and then the cutscene showed up. I was like, wait,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
It's like a 30-second clock. Like, doesn't matter how much damage you do to it. Doesn't matter if you get hit a bunch. Doesn't matter if you run and hide. I've tested a bunch of things. I've tried jumping over walls too. It always goes that way.
Yeah, and I didn't know that until I was watching your percent run, your Death Stalker. I was like, why are you just there standing? I didn't know.
Why are you doing anything?
Well, what
I
I
know.
started doing now is I run and I jump and I grab hold of it, and then the camera just goes crazy.
Oh my god.
Yeah. And we'll get into that. I was like, yeah,
my
sometimes it
gosh.
gets me dizzy with the camera. So
Yeah, we'll get into our cons about the game, because like that was like the first like, here's a monster, go and fight it, and I'm like, I don't know how to use this weapon. I'm pressing a bunch of random. I was literally, I felt like this for the first time in my life, this is like what every new player to Monster Hunter feels like, and so this was like a nice, genuine feeling. I felt like I was just holding the controller and just pressing all of these all at once. That's what it felt like. I was like just pressing buttons wildly and like seeing what they would do and like what would happen, and then I'd get hit and be like, okay, that's frustrating. Then I get hit again, I'm like, okay, that's frustrating. And then like they give you the beginning of this and they're like, we're gonna turn you into a dog toy to get you into the mindset that this game is difficult. And I like that looking back on it. But it was just like such a moment of just like pure helplessness. So I was like, oh, this is what people new to Monster Hunter feel like. All right, cool.
So I gotta ask, with the controls being so different, how many people rebound their controls? I can't be alone. I bound my controls to be Monster Hunter.
I should have done it. Oh my god. I went from playing this game for 2 weeks to then going back and trying to speedrun Monster Hunter. In Monster Hunter, the dodge button's the X button. Here, let me hold it this way. The dodge button's the X button. In Wild Hearts, the circle button's the dodge button.
Jeez.
In Monster Hunter, your attacks are triangle and circle. In Wild Hearts, your attacks are triangle and square. So I was hitting the wrong button for fucking everything. I would try to dodge, I'd hit circle, and nothing would happen. I was like, what am I doing? Like I'd like crouch or something. I was like, what am I doing? What am I doing? What am I doing? I was getting so aggravated, like trying to de-rust world. Fortunately, it took a day to get like out of bad muscle memory and back into good muscle memory. So I'm actually kind of confident like playing both games at the same time now.
That's good.
But it was just like so frustrating the first day. I was like, dodge. That's the wrong button. Dodge. I did not do anything there. That's still the wrong button.
Gosh, I
had the same experience.
I need to get into
100%
rebinding my keys.
because I had to go to Rise as well. I don't know, like with Wild Hearts, when I was ending like Wild Hearts, it was done, finished. We're in the end game, and I had to like do potions, and I was hitting the up button, the D-pad up button, do like the potions, and I was trying to climb the walls. Like oh my gosh, this is so hard. How do I shoot again? And we have been playing. I was trying to slide as or right bumper. Well, I'm using it. Right bumper B to slide. I was like,
dodging, yeah.
Yeah.
And we've been playing Wulong as well. I don't know if you guys have heard about that. Another quick Tecmo game.
I want to get into it too. There's too many games out right now.
I've been bouncing on different games, and I was like, I don't know how to play anymore. And I was like,
I can't play any of these things.
Yeah. Wolong is the one that got me because Wolong has a very important deflect mechanic. And when I played through the Wolong demo, I went with the Monster Hunter controls. You know, I rebound Monster Hunter for Wild Hearts, and I was like, okay, I'm going to keep this going. And I learned how to play Wolong on that. And then the full version comes out, and I'm like, okay, I can't rebind the controls in this game because even though you can, there's on-screen overlays. There's like a diamond that they show you, and it shows like the layout of the controller, like the A, B, X, Y stuff in a diamond format. Well, if you rebind your controls, it'll show right here. It'll show the thing in this one. It'll say press B for this, or like press X for this, and it's like
no.
So they don't actually change like the button location in that. They only change like the button.
Yeah. So it's like, okay, that's going to drive me crazy if I think I mapped something to whatever my left button is, which is X, but it's actually Y. I just need to go with the actual controls for this one, which led to me just getting completely wrecked over and over again. Big attack coming in, deflect, nope, I stabbed it, and then immediately got hit.
Whoops.
Oh man. Yeah. I can't play. Can't wait to play that game. That's by the same people that made Neo, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Omega Force, same people as Wild Hearts.
Yeah. So when I first heard about Wolong coming out, I confused it with Wukong.
Wukong.
Yeah, Wukong.
Yes.
Like when I was just like, yo, it's coming out, it's finally coming out. I like messaged the group chat. I was like, nope, never mind, it's a different game.
It's a different video game.
Yeah.
Because we even talked about it on the podcast. You're like, yeah, Wulong's coming out, and like we talked about it like it was Wukong, and then like afterwards you messaged me and you're like, that's a different game. We made a mistake.
I was wrong.
Which one is Wukong?
Wukong is
Wukong-
you play as
the
monkey.
The Monkey King from Chinese mythos. Son
That's why
Wukong.
people were asking you about a monkey on your stream. People were like, I thought your main character was like a monkey. And we were like, I have no...
That's
Yeah.
Wukong,
Yeah.
not Wulong.
Is it also like a Soulsborne game?
Huh?
We
No.
don't know what style of game it is quite yet.
It seems like
it's
it
just
might
going
be a
to
Soulsborne style, yeah.
It's probably
okay.
closer to like a Sekiro in design, but the only reason that we know anything about it is because it was announced with Unreal Engine 6, showing off like a lot of the new like functions and stuff like that in Unreal Engine.
It's
So that was
absolutely gorgeous.
announced like 2 years ago. Like we talked about it on one of the first episodes of the podcast, and that was a while ago that it was announced, and still no information about it.
I went on their channel actually. It's gonna. I heard either the release date or more info about it is gonna come out in late 2024. So we're gonna hear more about it then.
Soon.
Soon.
In a year.
Well, I mean, it was sooner than it was 2 years ago.
Yeah. So what did you guys use for your first playthrough? Like, did you guys stick with one weapon, or did you jump around between a bunch of different ones?
Did you go Attack on Titan mode?
We did have to try. Are we talking about like?
Wild Hearts.
No, but this playthrough.
Yeah,
right?
I'm talking about like for your full playthrough.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, okay.
like when
Oh,
you
for the
actually
full
finally got
playthrough.
to sit down and like play the game. You know, what did you gravitate towards one weapon? Did you try them all out? Like how did you approach your playthrough experience?
Do you want to start, Rune, or?
Sure, I'll start with it. I went with Maul. Big, heavy hits, and I wasn't expecting to like Maul. But then when I learned about cancel techniques, it was like, the big problem with Maul is I'm sitting there, I'm charging up a big attack, and I get wrecked. Well, I found out now I can cancel, like build a Karakuri on top of myself. It stuns me, knocks me out of my attack animation, and it takes away the downside of Maul, as long as I make sure I've got threat on me. So I found Maul to be very satisfying. You land the big hits, you do like over 1,000 damage, you get the flinch, you get the destruction on the parts. And that's what I wound up doing. Was I just went with the destruction build, straight down on the right side from I think Grit Dog and Angry Monkey Lava Back. So like if you go down that path, you can get like 30-45 points of destruction and really good raw damage. So that's what I went with.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's the
What
one
about
that's like
you?
a great sword staff thing. Is that what that is?
No.
No.
This is the Maul. This is the hammer,
Hammer.
analog.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
What about you,
for
Nigiri?
me-
What did you use?
For me, I stuck. Well, both. I tried all of the weapons, but then so it's at a specific. For those who don't know or haven't tried the game, or wasn't able to play the game, you unlock all of the weapons by chapter 2. Like they start you up with 5. So I tried all that was available, but then I only stuck with Katana because I didn't want to grind. I know it's a hunting game. I didn't want to grind, but I want to meet all the bosses. I was like, oh my gosh, I wanna learn the bosses. I was like, that's me. I'm more excited with the boss fights.
Oh yeah.
How do
So
you
I
like
stuck with
Katana?
It was okay. I was so I stuck with Katana as well because when we were doing on October our review, I was blown away because at first I was only expecting, okay, it's only Katana, and then suddenly became a whip,
Yeah.
and I was like, oh yo, this weapons transform. And we only played with umbrella, bow, Katana, and I forgot the other one. I forgot the fourth
I think
one.
Maul might have been there, but
Might be
the
Maul?
umbrella.
Okay.
Everybody thought they were gonna main umbrella. Everybody
Yeah.
thought it, and
Yeah.
so few did.
Oh
Yeah.
my
Yep.
god. The bow
Yep.
looks wild. Hey, hi.
Bow's
sis.
interesting.
got
it wild.
Wild. Sorry, that
Oh,
was.
you're so
I just.
Boo.
Shut up.
Yeah,
But-
those
But yeah,
are
all of
cool.
it. Go. Okay.
So one thing we can say, we were in a Discord with the other people that were doing the review of the game, and everybody at the beginning was talking about how much they loved the idea of countering with the umbrella and everything. But then by the end of the review period, I swear like 2 of those people were using umbrella, and everybody else had moved on. The counter timing is just so tight for umbrella. Like it's so ridiculously tight.
Dang. Yeah, is this a game like full? Is it counters or is it mostly just parries? Like, how is
No, it's dodging.
Dodging?
The only mechanic carried over through every single weapon is dodge iframes. That's it. So that's what I always say, and we'll probably talk about this a little bit more towards the end of the podcast. That's why I always say this game feels more like a Sekiro or a Dark Souls or a Tokiden rather than Monster Hunter, because Monster Hunter gives you more resources inside the weapon. This game is like, fuck that. The only weapon that's going to have resources is Wagasa, and then everything else you have to dodge.
That's pretty much all the Wagasa gets, though.
Yeah. That, and like it and because of it, it has like an insane amount of pressure. But if you can't keep that pressure, you fall behind in comparison to other weapons. But we're not like that's. And I started with the mentality of that I was gonna like try every weapon at least one night. And so it took me 2 nights to get through chapter 1, like really taking my time and like grinding out, because like I started my playthrough with Nodachi, the great sword. I loved it. And then like had people telling me like, oh yeah, by the way, you can like attack during the charge, and I was like, I love it even more now. Like I think that's so cool. Then I tried out Maul, because I do like the slower hitting, like more methodical kind of weapons. And Maul was definitely up there, and so you can do kind of like some really funky things with Maul, like keeping yourself up in the air and spinning. I thought that was super goofy. And then I unlocked chapter 2 and got the new weapons, and I was like, all right, like which one are we gonna pick? And I was like, oh, Clawblade's cool, but like none of this makes sense to me, and it's too Eren Yeager, and I feel like I have zero control over this weapon. And then I like looked at like, bow and cannon. I'm like, yeah, ranged, whatever. I really don't care about those. And then I picked up the Katakuri staff, and I was like, wow, I hate this. This is awful. But by the end of the combo, you do a very large number, so I guess this is cool. Long story short, my entire playthrough after once I started chapter 2 became Katakuri staff, and that's all I played, and that's like all I've been playing. And I love the complexity of the weapon once I started like realizing like, oh, like if you do basic Katakuri combos, you get 2 gauges instead of 1, and you can mix and match that kind of stuff like mid combo to get to max gauge as fast as possible, and then you just do a really big number. Activates that neuron in my brain. Makes me feel good.
I agree with Witch's idea. I think one thing that I really enjoyed was the transformation of the weapons. You can like I agree with what you said. I was blown away when I saw the staff. I was like, because I was watching the trailer. It was just like a big, like a big sword afterwards. But and then I was surprised that you build it up. Like it has 5 different transformations with one single weapon. I was like, yo, this is sick. So
yeah.
I think that was one. Oh my goodness, I can't speak. I think that's one of the things that really fascinated me as well, was because of the transformations. It was like seeing each weapon have their own it's like Bloodborne with the way they can change. It changes your gameplay style. You can adjust while you're fighting, so it's like if you want to get up close, you can switch to a different type of weapon, quote unquote, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah, the like air quotes like transformation mechanics, like they only encompass like a handful of weapons, but the kind of like I would say this too, is that they did a really good job emulating Monster Hunter in the weapon types, but still like making them distinctly unique. I wouldn't say that like if you pick up Nodachi, it's not greatsword. If you pick up Katakuri Katana, it's not longsword. If you pick up Wagasa, that doesn't exist in Monster Hunter. If you pick up bow, operates completely differently. Pick up Katakuri staff, like it's not switch axe, it's cooler actually. Like there is not like Maul is the closest thing to big hammer do big things, but like hammer in Monster Hunter is a charging mechanic, and Maul in this game is a combo mechanic. Maul has perfect rush in Wild Hearts. It's insane. You have to like get the cadence of the attacks down to actually do the combos, and that's super cool. It's they're so uniquely different. It made it such a refreshing experience, like playing through the game and learning a new weapon and like going like, okay, this is something different, something new, something unique, something that has never been done before.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. And I think that's definitely what we need is more games of this genre to come out, just to I guess compete with Monster Hunter, but then again it's its own game as well, so it's very hard to say.
Competition's good, like because it's a game inside the hunting genre that gives people like us who are obsessed with Monster Hunter another perspective on the hunting genre. And like I've said this before, there are things that Monster Hunter does really well, like better than Wild Hearts. There's things that Wild Hearts does really well, better than Monster Hunter. And if they can see the competing influences from each other and build on those separately, we will see better games. This is the reason why Pokemon exists in the state that it does now. There's zero competition for Pokemon. So they know that they can just crap out anything and I will buy both copies and all of the memorabilia and merchandise for it and continue spending my hard-earned money on more TCG product. And I just
it's just so established, like things like Pokemon and stuff, that it's hard to even compete with that. Monster Hunter, like, it is established, it's Snorlax.
But they can do it. Like, and Wild Hearts shows that you can make another game and it be successful alongside like Monster Hunter, like still be uniquely different and still grab the attention of like diehard fans of Monster Hunter, and also like we get to still enjoy both games, and you know what we do in each one is like distinctly unique, so we can enjoy both games. But it's still competition for each other because like, well, which hunting game do I want now? You know, which hunting game am I going to put my hundreds and hundreds of hours into? It's
really funny because I've been seeing comments. It was just like in all your guys' streams, really, where it's like, is this the Monster Hunter killer and stuff like that? And I'm just like, what?
Rip my hair out every single time somebody asks, is this better than Monster Hunter?
How long have we been hearing people use the term like such and such killer? Like, I think the first time I heard it was Killzone's the Halo killer. Oh, when's the last time you heard anybody mention Killzone? What, like 15 years? Things can exist together. One thing doesn't have to kill the other. In the case of Killzone, it just went away because they
could coexist together.
And here's the thing. I had somebody come into one of my videos and comment something like, you know, I'm not going to be playing this game because, you know, it's clearly a ripoff of this other game. I'm going to be playing this other game. And I'm like, okay, you that's fine. You can play whatever game you want to play for whatever reason you want to play. But I guarantee you, the Capcom people that you're standing for right now are playing this game and they're enjoying it.
And they're excited about it too.
The staff, the people that program Monster Hunter, the people who program it because they like it, not the people that program it because, you know, they're programmers and don't play video games. The people that play games and are working on Monster Hunter they're playing this game, they're getting inspiration from this game, and that is great. That is what we need. We need, I mean, okay, the move from GU to Monster Hunter World was huge. They revamped so much. I couldn't get into classic Monster Hunter. I want to see that level of growth continue every generation or two in Monster Hunter. And we don't get that level of growth, like Jalbagel was saying, until we have competition. And I think this is a great game. I am worried the technical performance issues may have hurt this game to the point where it may not become a true competitor. We may not get an expansion. We may not get a sequel. I really hope we do. This was a fantastic game, but yeah, there's a lot of people out there that are saying some very negative things about this game, and some of it's deserved. A lot of it is not deserved, though.
I'm just glad it wasn't as bad as Anthem.
I mean, it's actually a similar problem to Anthem, like because now that I've like looked into it like more and more and more, I would actually say it's honestly, I'm gonna say it, worse than Anthem, because there's a video game here to play and people can't fucking play it. That's the biggest problem with Wild Hearts, is that you have people watching other content creators and like getting excited to play it, and then they want to go out and like buy the game and like use the affiliate codes that a lot of creators have right now to you know sponsor the game. They want to do that, but the game doesn't function. Anthem's biggest problem was microtransactions and a lack of end game. There was a game there. Every creator that I talked to that played Anthem, even like the people that just played Anthem, they're like, it's the best flight simulator. It had a really fun combat system. The actual game itself was enjoyable, there's just nothing to do.
I think there's also like a lot of glitches and stuff too, wasn't there? Like there was a lot of people posting like different glitches that happened. Like there was one that was like invisible enemies that weren't supposed to be invisible. I
heard about that too. Yeah.
Yeah,
but the game was playable is like the biggest point, right? You're getting a game here that people want to play, and like I've had a lot of people in my community watch me play it, went out and buy it, and they're like, it doesn't run. Like I'm sorry. Like, and they're like, dude, I bought it because like you were playing and having so much fun, and now it doesn't run. Now it makes me feel bad because I sold them that product. You know, like inadvertently, I sold that product to them, and now it makes me feel responsible for a purchase that they got. So I've been telling everyone if they want to play Wild Hearts, and this is the shitty thing, I've been telling everyone if they want to play it, get Game Pass or get EA Pass and play it that way, because you're going to get a month out of it anyways. You're only going to spend $5, and if you want to play a title update that comes out, just spend the $5 again. You'll never spend $70 doing it that way. You'll probably spend $20, and until the game is in a truly stable form where you can like actually grind it and enjoy it, don't buy it.
Yeah, it
like
is getting improved,
that's the unfortunate way. Slowly but surely.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And every update that keeps coming out, though, makes my game run worse.
they dropped the ball. There was this big update that was supposed to come out, and they were like, we're fixing CPU issues. And the exact text they used was fixing CPU issues for certain high-end systems. And a lot of people latched onto that, said, this is the CPU fix. Because if you look at the game, you look at how the game's running, it hits the GPU, but it really hits the CPU way harder than any other game I've played. And I don't really know what's going on there. And there have been a bunch of theories about that. But like people were like, okay, cool. And this is what I saw when I was playing in October. I had a 2080 GPU, and my GPU was barely getting tapped by this game, but my CPU just couldn't hold up. And I was like, okay, so I looked at my CPU. It was actually way weaker than I thought it was. It was like a i3 8th gen Intel, and right now it's 13th gen like i7. Yeah, so it's like, okay, this was my fault. This is why I had to get a new computer. And after getting a new computer, I mean, I'm running this game 4K 120 FPS, 4K 60 FPS while recording on the same box. I don't do dual box.
Damn.
So I had no problems. But then, you know, people latched onto this saying this is the CPU fix, and then it wasn't for a lot of people. And you know, you only get so many things like that. And I think a lot of it was people latched on to words that weren't there. There's a translation issue. Koei Tecmo is giving this information to EA, which is translating from Japanese to English. Then it has to go through a manual person's understanding translation as they write it, and they post it on Reddit or whatever. And the post was put out by Wolfhands, one of the community managers. And dude, I love this guy. Like some of his responses are some of the best responses I've ever seen on Reddit. Like somebody will complain that it doesn't work, and he'll fall on the sword. He'll take blame for it, but he'll also say something really funny. And just very worth looking at the Wild Hearts Reddit, especially reading Wolfhands' posts. You can only do this so many times. You can only tell people this is the fix, or have people believe that you said this is the fix so many times.
Yeah. And fixes are coming for it. They've been very transparent about like the fact that they know that the game's not operating well. Like, let's talk about another game that's not performing well. Pokemon.
Scarlet
and Violet, Pokemon Company and Game Freak said, we understand that there are inconsistencies with the video game, and we are committed to making corrections in the future. That was their official statement. Their most recent update fixed inconsistencies and bugs associated with PvP competitive play, not performance.
I don't think Scarlet and Violet were made for the Switch. I think they were made for the next hardware that Nintendo hasn't announced yet. But you know Nintendo is sitting there getting ready to release something. I think when we look at what happened with the shortages of computer parts that happened around that time, Nintendo probably had the prototype built. They probably sent the prototype to the developers, and I bet you Scarlet and Violet was not made for the Switch.
God, I hope so. But you look at a company like EA and the Omega Force. You look at them, and what they're saying is, we know the game does not run well. Yeah. We know that there are significant issues with CPU capping happening on against like that. So that was the update that you were talking about, Rune, is that there were high-end CPUs that were being rate limited. So they would only reach a certain speed in the game. They didn't intend that, and they removed that to help fix a lot of the issues with higher end CPUs. This wasn't an optimization. This was just like a very generic fix for stuff like that. the difference in response has been, we know we messed up, we know it doesn't run well, we are fixing it.
Yeah.
Like that's happening. And so last weekend, one of the community managers was talking about how they had a huge meeting for Wild Hearts in Tokyo, and that he was traveling to Tokyo for this meeting. They were talking about the title update stuff, and they were talking about the future patches and fixes. That's
great.
even cool, just seeing from a community manager, like, hey, I'm going to a meeting on the other side of the world right now to talk about these things, to give these developers the community's perspective on these issues to help fix these things.
People want this game to succeed. I want this game to succeed.
Yeah, right? I don't know if anyone else had anything else to harp on that, because I wanted to get back to like the gameplay stuff.
I think this could be a good pivot point. Just said people want this game to succeed. There's a large portion of the community who doesn't want this game to succeed. Is that something we want to talk about?
I mean, we can.
Yeah.
So like my whole opinion on that is people are babies and children and only want to create strife and vitriol on the internet. I've literally just had people come into my chat while playing Wild Hearts and say, this game is crap, not Monster Hunter World. And I go, cool, dude, I'm having fun though. And then they just leave. They want a response. They want to rise.
It's not Monster Hunter World. You're right. It's Wild Hearts.
Correct.
By
Oh
the
my
way.
god, you have such good. You're very good at reading.
And we've met so many amazing people through the Monster Hunter community, but this same thing happened when Rise came out. People were like, "Oh, you're playing this game? I prefer World." I was like,
I prefer World.
Okay.
What a weird thing. What a weird, unprovoked thing to say in my chat. I was okay. This was the thing that pissed me off the most. I wasn't even playing Monster Hunter. I was playing Pokemon like 2 weeks ago. Some person, they obviously weren't new, because they didn't get like new chatter message, like first message from a new viewer like message. So they obviously weren't new, but they just come in and they go, I like World better than Rise. I was like, go off, King. I'm playing Pokemon tonight. Like, what's happening? Who are you? Get out of here.
So funny. I don't know.
And yeah,
we weren't around. Sorry.
go ahead.
No, that's you. I've been dominating the
Nigiri, it's your turn.
it's
Rune,
okay.
shut up. Stop talking, Rune. Oh my gosh, you talk too much.
The lady not talking.
Okay. No, go finish what you're saying.
He was done.
Yeah,
you were done?
it's your turn.
Yeah, I'm ending
This
it.
is why
Rune,
I'm
you
not
can't talk for the
talking.
next hour.
Whoa.
It kind of like we've sort of like briefly talked about it, and if I again, like I mentioned, like if I earned $1 every time someone says, and that's like the past 2-3 weeks that I've been playing the game, that people come in, but does this game, or compared to obviously Monster Hunter, but does this game have like Palico? Does this game have hunting horn? Sorry, my bad. Or does this have like, they would even say like monsters' names like Nergigante. No, it's a different game, right?
It's not Monster Hunter.
It is. Yes, it is not Monster Hunter. It's obviously a different game. I mean, why would a company just basically copy something else? And I even said at some point, I was like, I want to find that person who would say, does this beat Dauntless? Or something like that. Or,
This beat Yes. Move
Like,
next question.
Do you know there are other games that can exist at the same time, right? But
Nigiri, I think that's wrong.
I know,
There is
right?
one video game in the Monster Hunter community, and that's Monster Hunter. And if you play anything else, you're not a Monster Hunter creator. I'm sorry.
True.
We weren't around for the launch of World, but from what I understand, the same thing happened when they moved from GU to World, right? Because that was a big jump, and people were like, I prefer the classic style better, or they should have stopped making games with GU. We're hearing that sort of stuff now. Did that happen when World came out?
Yes, there was a lot of that. Where I prefer the vibrant, colorful style, where aside from like the dull, like like colorless style of world, and then now lo and behold everyone's just really loving the world, and they're like
thing. It's the same thing every time. Doesn't matter what happens. Like people are like, oh yeah, like Gen 5 was trash, garbage, doo-doo bad, and everyone's like, oh, Gen 5 is the greatest thing that's ever existed in Pokemon, like best game ever made. And then like, oh yeah, like Sun and Moon terrible, like awful games, never played them again. And just suddenly now like, oh yeah, Sun and Moon are the best video games ever made. Like, are you people okay? It's like it's the same thing. It's every franchise every 5 years. The thing that people hated when it came out, 5 years later, love it. Best thing ever made, because whenever it came out, that's the popular thing to hate now.
I saw a tweet. It was someone replied to
exhausting.
Yeah, exactly. Someone replied saying to someone arguing about the game, that's saying that they love it now, and someone replied saying like, wow, the Monster Hunter community is like just like the Pokemon community now, and I'm like, yeah.
Always has been.
Yeah.
One of the things that I loved when World came out was the community outrage that the game was too easy. Where they were like, they give you a camp like out in the quest, like you can just change your equipment and your items at any time. And I'm like, what you just called too easy is the thing that saves me 10 minutes because I forgot to bring hot drinks on a quest. Like,
yeah. Quality
calm
of life.
down. Convenience is not easiness. Like, calm down. Like that doesn't make a game more difficult. It just makes it more tedious. These are also the same people that are like the echelon of Pokemon knowledge and challenge is a Nuzlocke. I'm like, no. A Nuzlocke is just grinding your Pokemon to level 80 and then beating the Elite Four. Like, and you did that off of like level 12 Rattata for 86 hours until you had an unstoppable. Quiet you.
Nuzlocks are just tedium. It's a fun tedium for some people.
Says the
guy. Have you guys seen Kaizo
right
Ironmon though? That one looks kind of cool.
What's that?
Kaizo Ironmon.
Ironmon is a so for those that don't know, Skoj, Kaizo Ironmon is a subsect of like challenge playthrough of Pokemon, where it's a randomizer. You start with one of the 3 starters. That Pokemon is randomized, and then you have to take that Pokemon and fight every trainer in the game and beat the Elite Four.
Oh,
one Pokemon to do all of that.
No.
It's awful. I've been keeping up with like some Pokemon creators on Twitter, like seeing like one of them just got a clear, which was pretty exciting. Good, congrats. Yeah. After like literally thousands of attempts, congrats, you got a clear. But
ADF?
like
I think ADF just did it.
Yeah, ADF just did it. Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
And I was like, oh, that's super cool. You're free now. Like you could go and now do anything else. But Kizaron put it like a really cool way, because like there was like the original like Ironmon rules, and then he changed them to make it a lot more like stream friendly and like actually beatable. And that's the thing that people kind of like latched onto, because it's more fun that way. Yeah. You know. And so I've never gonna do one.
It'd be interesting.
It would be cool to do for like 100 attempts and then say, didn't beat it, we're done.
Yeah, that's what Spike did. Spike did 100 attempts, and then I think he went to 200, and then that was it. He was done.
Oh man. Going back to wildhearts though.
I know, right?
The Pokemon podcast. Are we not Pokemon?
Oh my gosh! Right, I will complain about Pokemon so much.
But he loves the game.
I love the game.
But yeah, and I agree with what everyone said with like the quality of life, because even up to now, I'm playing Monster Hunter Rise, or even way back when I played Monster Hunter World. Like someone just new comes in and I was like, oh, I enjoy the old style of like Monster Hunter. And I was like, you mean the one where in example GU, you just kind of like step out of that area and then teleports you to another area and you cannot see it. And then also they also talked about like the tracking mechanism, the paintball. I was like, dude, that's just BS. I was like, dude, games evolve. So, and I wish people mindset would also be more open-minded as well.
Yeah. And I mean, and we see that same kind of like shallowness with, you know, wildhearts, right? Everyone's praising World now suddenly because Rai is out, and well, world is better than Rise, and then when the next monster comes out, it's like, this isn't Monster Hunter Rise. I'm gonna flip shit. I'm gonna find people and I'm gonna flame them on Twitter. I've been saving screenshots. I can't wait. Can't wait for people to like get to that point where the game comes out and they're like, this isn't Monster Hunter Rise. Like Rise was so much better and like it's such a more like unique and in depth. I'm like, is this you, clown emoji? Like, what is happening? Who are you people? Where do you come up from? I can't.
Should frame it in the background, like replace the hat collage and put it like frame it there.
I'll make a.
That should happen at every podcast. That's what it was like. Big,
start putting up everything. I'll start putting together my list of people that I'm gonna flame on the internet just so I can get canceled in like a year. But even despite all of that, like. We've all been the ones of us that have been playing Skoj have at least been enjoying Wild Hearts. Because I want to talk about like post game experiences and stuff like that too here in a little bit. But just still talking about like our progression through the game. What was your favorite kimono aesthetically and your favorite kimono to fight? Kimonos being the monsters for those that might not understand that terminology.
I like the rock gorilla because you can take off the butt.
You like Rock Gorilla aesthetically? Because God forbid you like that fight.
I haven't played it, so I don't know.
Exactly.
I just watched Tuner just like whack the butt off the thing. It was like, oh my god! It just jumps around, grabbing it. It was really funny.
If you sneak up and you watch Lavaback and Lavaback doesn't know you're there, he'll scratch his butt. He'll just hang out there and like do regular people things when people think nobody's watching.
Regular people things.
Regular people. Oh,
Nigiri,
man.
favorite aesthetic kimono.
Well, or like my favorite kimonos are probably Frost Doggo, Deathstalker. Deathstalker. Amaterasu is one of them, and the dragon at the end. I'm bad at names.
Celestial Dragon.
Yeah, or those two actually. I guess this part 1 and part 2, because I was just kind of like surprised, and I've been telling people, I play Souls games and I play Monster Hunter games, and I feel like this game is a combination of both games that I truly enjoy. So I was surprised at that ending, and I don't know if you guys want me to continue further on, but yeah, Deathstalker is a fun fight. Okay. Deathstalker is a fun fight. Amaterasu.
Is that the bird?
How should I say? Yeah, yes. It's a bird. It's one of the birds.
The big green bird.
Okay.
Bird of Auspice.
Red?
Also known the bird of Auspice. The thing that is awful if you're speedrunning and you run into it and you're just so underpowered.
Yes. So I fought it. Okay, all of the boss fights I kind of like fought because I was under geared, because I was just wanting to just meet all of the bosses, and I still was wearing low rank gear. But I like his moves, the bird. I like his moves, and some of them are RNG. It was like that I only saw once or twice, where it does it's kind of like a beam that it follows you. I don't know, but you kind of like rarely see that. But I like his moveset, and Deathstalker was also a fun one, and the dragon, just because of that whole. It changes season, or it changes elemental aspect.
That was
sick.
I actually loved that.
It was easy. The fight was easy because you can just build karakuri. Sorry, you can just build karakuris and all that stuff, and does massive damage.
I have to talk to you about that, because like I can't figure. Every time I fight that, every single karakuri that I use, I guess I should be using repeaters, huh? Because every karakuri that I use. Yeah, every single one that I used, it would just always break it, and I can't do anything against it. Like I've never successfully used a karakuri fusion against it.
Huh.
I think Nigiri mostly uses the harpoons, though.
Yeah,
the harpoons.
Because it does
every time I've used a harpoon, it just breaks. Like I don't get it.
I sort of kind of like agree with what you're saying. You have to sometimes be specific areas on that map and some other maps, actually, especially when it's tight or narrow. You have to kind of like takes a while to build it more, like 1 or 2 seconds, to make sure everything is aligned. But I get what you're saying. I 100% get what you're saying. Yeah.
And we'll talk about frustrations in the the after we talk about the pros. We're talking about good things in the game right now, the things that we really enjoy, and we're gonna end it with the vitriol.
Quick sidebar, if that's okay. The official trailer they had, where they had like realistic graphics for the characters that you play, and the was it Katakuri? Is that the
Katakuri?
Is that the
Karakuri
creatures?
is the building.
The
Kimono.
building. Okay,
Kimono.
Of the game, like showing them like go after the hunters, basically, or going after the what are they called? Are they called hunters?
NPCs.
Yeah.
The hunters. Yeah.
Yeah, the hunters. Yeah.
They go after the hunters, and like I that's not something I haven't seen since like Monster Hunter World, because like it just showing the intimidation of these creatures towards like the people is something that like I've been wanting to see for a while, and it was really cool to see in that trailer, because I haven't seen, like, they didn't show that in Monster Hunter Rise. They show mostly intimidation towards like the big monsters towards like the small monsters, and that was mostly the intimidation.
You're right.
What drove me crazy about the one I think you're talking about, the trailer, it was just a hunter who sees a lava back, and the lava back is minding his own business, and the hunter shoots a single arrow at it, a single arrow, and then gets wrecked. It's like, what do you expect?
Yeah,
You're
every
not
time
up to this task.
Every time they showed
that
them,
brought me up. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Because like every time that they showed that trailer, I was like, this is so rude to the animal. They're doing nothing to you. It's just like they're like trying to play it off as like the kimono are like these big dangerous things that are always threatening, Minato. But it's like every single time they're just like chilling, vibing, minding their own business, and then you go up and harass them. Like, of course, you stepped up. You froggy, you jumped. I'm just jumping back.
They at least cover that a little bit in the story. It's like this whole concept of expanding territory, and they need to stop the territory from expanding into Minato, which you saw with the bird, and that's the only time you actually see it happen. But I think the bird shows what could happen.
Okay.
Yeah.
But no, I forgot. Like my fifth one is the bear, the teddy bear. And I know it's kind of like Zora Magnar.
Earthshaker?
Earthshaker, yes. The I call it teddy bear. Sorry.
The teddy bear.
Yeah. What do you call this? So cool. Because I know it's an easy fight. It's kind of like Zora Magdaros, obviously. And the reason why is I like teddy bears. Sorry. And I was team kimono. It's like, dude is just walking out and about, and you guys were talking about. I was like, the villagers. I was like, attack this bear. I was like, I don't want to attack the bear. I want to kind of like just let it go. And then of course the story will kind of like
just ride with them. Just like, you know, let's chill together.
Yeah.
Dude just wants to vibe and eat, celestial thread and chill. Just let him.
Where's he finding that celestial thread though? There's a whole stockpile of it in Minato.
Fine, take it, have it. It's all yours. I built a cool little camp out in the highway, up on a cliff, so I can watch everything. I'll just live there. You guys can figure it out yourself.
That's another cool thing.
So,
I think it's kind of an interesting story too, where it's like it's not like Monster Hunter where you are one of the hunters. It's like there's no hunters left. So everybody's like relying on you for everything. And in Monster Hunter, it's like why doesn't like in Monster Hunter World that Ace guy or whatever his name is?
Why didn't Aiden do anything?
Why did he do it?
It was really funny.
He's an A-lister.
I think what was really cool with the game as well was the fact that like the materials and everything you put out into the land, the area stays there. It stays there, and like when you come back, you can use that the different mechanisms to like go around to different locations a little faster, which is really cool.
Yeah, the Dragon Katakuri system was very refreshing. Like I really like that because you can customize your own map and customize your own utility inside of them and set up things in the way that you want to set them up. It was super cool.
I think we're going to see that two Monster Hunter games down the road. They're not going to be able to do it in the next one, but the one after that, I think we're going to see something very similar where you're going to be able to build buildings that are going to connect to things, like little small contraptions. That's too easy of a win for them to not put into Monster Hunter.
Yeah.
And underwater combat.
Like nope. Capcom, stop watching now. Skoy's giving you bad ideas.
Here we are.
What about you? Aesthetically favorite and fight favorite?
Aesthetic, gotta be Grit Dog. I mean, it's
Grit Dog. He's so good. He's a big taiko drum. He's awesome.
Taiko drum?
Yeah. And he makes Karakuri. I mean, that's cool.
Yeah, he does.
I forgot.
Yeah, he makes his own star bomb, and he makes his own barricade.
Barricade. Yeah.
For the longest time, I thought that bulwark was my Sukumo making it. And
Yeah.
and one of the videos I did, I was like, and if you level up Sukumo enough, it'll start making Karakuri.
Dodged a bullet there, because that would have been the first one, like LMAO.
What was
Anyways,
what was it? What is it? Like, what animal does it represent? Is it a bear?
It's like a
Beaver?
so
Beaver?
it's called a grit dog. It's a oh god, it's a tanuki. Because tanuki is also like called a raccoon dog. And so it has like the same like similar like facial features as a tanuki. It's like big and round like a tanuki, but it's got this big tail. It's super cool. It's such a cool monster. It's like an earth elemental, a kimono, and it can manipulate the like iron sands that are around it. So it's like this magnetic ferrous creature. It's so cool. So its tail's like this all like spiky, like magnetic, like iron dust. Super neat. Super cool. I love this animal. He's the first time I encountered it, like when I first got to oh crap, I'm trying to learn the names of all the places.
Island,
the island,
and
Spirit Isle.
Spirit Isle. Dude,
Spirit
is that
Isle.
island a turtle? I can't be the only person who's
I
not on the
haven't
turtle,
checked it
right?
yet.
I don't know. I should have looked more. I should look
You
better.
told me. I
It could
haven't
be.
checked.
Okay.
Huh.
When you're inside, you know where the shipwreck is in the middle?
Yeah,
If you look up,
yeah.
there's a turtle shell dome around you. I think that entire island is a turtle's corpse. I could be wrong.
That'd
there.
be cool.
It's just the vibe that I get.
They're
Yeah, no, that'd
copying
be-
the
that'd be
guiding
cool.
lands in Monster.
Yeah, because the Monster Hunter made the original concept of things dying. Anyways, the first time that I saw Grit Dog, I was like blown away. I was like, look at this chunky bastard. Look at how fat he is. I love him. Then he got bigger. I was like, oh, he's so cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
All right, and then favorite fight.
Oh, favorite fight? I'm gonna. Nobody's gonna agree with me on this one. But
Oh my god, he's gonna say lava
Fumebeak.
back. Oh, Fumebeak. Ugh, maybe that's worse.
That's pretty cool.
Here's the thing: Fumebeak is easily knocked out as a Maul user. When you land your hits, it's just like nonstop stun knocks, and the way it gets up slowly times perfectly with getting that third charged hit in on the Maul. Like the fight flows very well as a Maul user. Now, when I'm doing my speed runs though, and I have no armor on at all, that part's not so much fun.
Yeah.
Different story. Yeah. Absolutely.
man.
A completely different story. Yeah, that's how I am with like Legiana. I actually really like Legiana fight in like Legiana, not the other asshole Streaking. Streaking's terrible. Regular Legiana is like a super fun fight. Legiana in the speedrun is like absolutely aggravating because you make one single mistake and it's like, I'm gonna fly around forever.
I'm also gonna screech in your face for like 20 turns.
Screams externally was the split name I had for Legiana for a while.
Oh.
Cool. And then Skoj, what was your favorite aesthetically looking monster so far since you haven't been able to fight them?
Oh god, the
Describe it. We'll guess what it is.
phoenix looking bird creature looks really cool.
Amaterasu.
Amaterasu.
Yeah.
The green phoenix, yeah.
Is that green?
Me
Wait,
too.
are
I was
you
like, when you guys
okay?
said green,
green
I was
and
like, I know
red,
it's
it
red.
alternates.
I know. Okay.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, I guess when it enrages, it turns like autumn colors.
Wild hearts. I'm gonna look at the
Bird.
Amaterasu. All the birds.
Yeah.
There was a tweet thread they had of
Amaterasu
all
looks
of them,
super
right?
cool. Yeah, and I bookmarked it because I'm going to use it for thumbnails.
We could all agree on what the worst monster
here it
to
is.
fight is, though, right?
Oh, it is a Materasu,
Lavaback.
yeah.
What? Really?
What? No.
All of
tiger.
its zones are shit
The
zones
tiger.
except for its the tiger. Okay. When I start speedrunning this game, you and I are going to sit down and have a conversation about Souls likes because the tiger is so iframeable. It's so abusable. It's not even funny.
Oh, I see what you
But
mean
the
about
problem is I
Earthbreak.
can't get any of my charged attacks in because by the time I charge my second swing, it's already launching another attack. I can't get the third hit.
Yeah,
combo
you got,
in.
that's why you got to tap it. Because I have the same problem with the Karakuri staff. I can usually get like 2 hits in and get 2 charges before it wants to start doing something else. So it's like all hit and run tactics, which this is one of my cons for the game is that the monsters aren't built with the weapons in mind. There are some weapons that definitely have better matchups versus certain monster. Wagasa and Clawblade against Lavaback, trivial. Katakuri staff against anything that stops moving for a half a second, trivial. Like Nodachi and Maul can take advantage of so many things, so many monsters that have just like a lot of like ending lag. The monsters themselves are not really built with weapons in mind, which makes it feel much more like a Souls-like game, right? We're going to give you this challenge and you have the resource and you got to figure it out. Which they're all doable, but some are much more aggravating than others. But I think there is a combo for Hammer in there that would make it easier. There's got to be. We'll find it.
Hey, if you want to find it and teach me, because that's.
I mean, I'm gonna be using Katakuri staff at that point. The moment I hit chapter 2, I'm Katakuri staff the rest of the game.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
You were
Chain
not
trap,
wrong.
easy.
With a look of Grit Dog. It is literally a raccoon beaver.
Yeah, he's so big. He's so good.
Oh man.
Do you guys like the hedgehogs? Gold shard and onyx
Gold shard. Oh gosh.
I avoid them.
Avoid them?
Yep. That is probably
They look like hell.
my weakness.
I like their designs. Their fights, you need shield. You need Katakuri shield to just even interact with it. And it's like one of those fights where it's like if you don't have Katakuri shield or some way to stop it from attacking you literally over and over and over again to make your opening, it's just going to be rough.
Yep, and that's one of the things on the speedrun, and I'll tell you right now, odds are you're not going to get that shield.
Which monster gives shield? I can't remember.
That one does. You get
you
get bulwark from King Tusk, but that one gives you the shield.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's right, because when it does its big and that never happens.
Yeah.
Oh, and that never happens in Enraged. Oh my gosh.
Wait, Beagle,
cool,
you did not answer your question. You didn't answer
My
your favorite.
Oh, I didn't answer.
No.
I didn't answer it myself. Favorite? Oh god damn it. I think my favorite both aesthetically and fight wise is Deathstalker, because when I fight it aesthetically, it's super cool looking. I think
cool.
like it's all of its howls are like super good. I like the fact that like it's like glacial branches are breakable, super cool.
Oh, cool.
The tail is like so cleanly severable. Like everything about this monster is just like so well designed. Plus big puppy. I also really like its fight because once you understand it, it is so abusable and it's so much fun to do. But it's also one of those fights that if you make a single mistake, you're fucked. You just get punished back to back to back to back. Yeah. No, I really enjoy
you speedrun that. The problem with Deathstalker is waiting for that fusion unlock. I have had runs where I literally just run around for 4 minutes waiting for the because you need chain trap for the rest of the run. It's such a good fusion. You have to have it.
Yeah, I need to look at because it's the howl attack where it dashes at you 4 times that'll unlock the chain trap. But does it only do that in Rage, or can it do that anytime?
I'm pretty sure I've had it happen almost in the very beginning of a fight. Like I heard it drop and I had left bumper, but I had like maybe an 1/8 of a second to press left bumper before it hit me. So it was like, I'm not getting this.
Oh, weird. Yeah, maybe you're just like slightly out of position for it. Yeah.
Yeah. So
that's super. Because I've canceled Sparks of Inspiration, tried to dodge before, and I hated that. I was really upset by that because like it came up and then like I was like reacting to what it was doing, and it came up and I dodged and it went away, and I was like, oh.
Yeah.
I recorded this one. I can send it to you if you want, because it was the last run I did. It was a live stream, and that the RNG was terrible on that run. So I need to find out how the RNG seed works for like the loot table rotation, where you start, and see if I'm on that track, abandon the run from the beginning, because I could only craft like King Tusk was the highest armor I could craft that entire run.
Yeah.
It was terrible. I got 1 piece of King Tusk, like 1 piece of Sap Scourge, and then that was it.
Yeah.
Oh man. Are we gonna hop into the negatives?
I think this is like I want to talk about one more thing.
No.
Which is post game. How so? Because I mean we've encompassed like everything about this game so far, right? Like first impressions, playing through it, our experience playing through it, weapon choices, kimono choices, like actually like playing the game, some of the frustrations associated with that, but the post game grind. This is something that Monster Hunter players and really just like video game enjoyers need to continue to return to the game. how, like, what do you guys find yourself doing now in the post game? Like what is it that you guys are personally doing?
To me, the post game really just didn't entice me that much. I will say, for the best post game I've seen, and I think this is why World has real staying power, is not just the fights that you had, but in World you had the decorations, and the decorations were so important to your character build, and the decorations were on RNG. And I think a lot of people hated the decorations being on RNG, but when you talk about adding longevity to a game, it gives people something to continue to grind for. And when we look at Rise, you craft for specific parts, you build the decorations you need. You know, you're not getting the extra, the armor and weapons don't go to a certain tier in Rise, but you can do these augmentation things, and there's some RNG elements in augmentation. So I think in Sunbreak, you know, we have a little bit of that. In base Rise, we didn't at all. And then when I look at what's happening in Wild Hearts, it's like, I can change the way I look.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nigiri, what about you?
Yeah, I kind of like agree with what Rune. Yeah, with the weapons or the armor, there's no new armor or weapons. But yeah.
Yeah, and I was talking to Fumetto about this a little bit. Like the biggest appeal of the end game, like mechanically, there is a talisman farm. Like specific monsters will drop specific skills for talismans, so you can farm certain monsters to get those. I think it was Spine Glider drops Sneak Attack, and Sneak Attack is the skill that you use if you want to get that super cool 0 minute 0 second quest time. So like that's the only reason why he knew that one. He went through and like figured out a bunch of them, you know, loosely, and the talisman farm seems to be the only thing, but the really weird thing is that a chapter 1 monster, a chapter 2 monster, a chapter 3 monster, and so on, all drop the same stuff. Volatile monsters drop slightly better things, but it's so slightly, and damage is so hard to like calculate in this game, it doesn't even seem worth it.
Oh, is there any kind of ranking system in this game, by the way? Sorry.
Ranking meaning what?
They call it like regular and mighty.
Yeah.
Is there like no leveling up?
And volatile, and deeply volatile. Yeah.
Yeah, there's no like leveling system. There's no like hunter rank. There's no master rank. There's no anomaly rank. There's no ranking. There's no like number to attribute to the time that you've invested in the game.
Yeah.
The only like progression is chapters 1 through 5. Chapter 5 being the post game.
Okay.
And so it's this really weird thing where you get to the post game and the only reason to play is to play. That's it. And the reward is the biggest reason to play. You know, it's like if you're gonna go and fight a volatile monster and a deeply volatile monster, sure, they're fun, sure, they're engaging fights. The deeply volatile are slogs, and they're unique. They have different attacks, they have different AI, they attack differently, they stay in the area forever, which is awesome. But there's just nothing for it after that. And I spent 25 minutes hunting a Tombtail, died once to a very dumb ledge resetting my my dodge. I literally rolled and jumped instead and then just got smacked by it. I was like, I thought that was flat ground.
Oh.
And then that was my entire experience with Tombtail, and I just didn't do another one because there's also like no reason. It's not like I'm gonna do that and then be able to augment my weapon to make it even stronger or get the Tombtail equipment. Like that stuff doesn't exist.
And
So.
I think I'm not sure how much time they put into the post game. I think one thing we got to keep in mind, this is a launch to a series.
Correct.
Yeah.
I mean, this could turn out to be a flop, and they don't want to invest a lot of time in a post game for a game that could flop. And so I think
that's fair.
Yeah.
If we see an expansion come, we see a sequel come, and then they don't have a well built out end game there, I think at that point in time we can really level some criticism on them. But at this point in time, it could just be simple cost cutting. Like you don't want to spend $200 million and then only make $100 million back.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean,
that's fair too.
In the end, like the first
investment.
release of Monster Hunter, I don't even think had a real end game either. So
the first release of Monster Hunter, your true end game grind in Monster Hunter 1 was an RNG quest that people would get. You would sit in a lobby of like 4 people and you would reset your quests trying to grind for that quest. Like that's all you were trying to do. So it's RNG to get the quest that you wanted to grind, and then after you did that, there was nothing else to do in the game.
Yeah.
So like, and like, if you want to compare it to something like that, then like, sure, we absolutely can. But then we also have to talk about the consideration of competition. How are you going to get people to keep playing this game instead of playing something else? Because you're talking about releasing title updates. Guys, the only reason I'm playing Rise title updates is because Capcom is like, hey man, co-stream it and give away some codes at the same time. And then I'm like, okay, cool. And then I'll play the game a little bit too. It's the only reason I'm playing Rise still. Because the title updates in Rise are not enough to get people to come back and consistently play the game. World had a well-defined end game, an enjoyable end game system, a fun multiplayer system, a good community-based game that kept people coming back and made title updates even more exciting, bigger reasons to play, refresh what you're doing, until it got to the very end and we were just doing the same 3 hunts over and over again: AT Velcana, Cash Teostra, or Fatalis. Yep. That was it. That was the end of the game, and that's fine, because that went on for 3 years.
Yeah.
That's perfectly okay. We are ready for something new now. Yeah. This is a problem, though, where you get to the end of a game and you want to keep playing it, you want to keep enjoying it. And the only way to do that is you get sociopaths like Rune and I that just start the game over again and try to do it fast.
And to your point, what you just said, talking about how it worked in World, how it worked in Rise, we were at a bar with some Capcom people, and we were chatting with them. And I mentioned exactly that. I was like, Rise needs something big, and it needs it soon, because these title updates, it's cool. You add this new monster, Velcana was big. Okay, I'll admit Velcana was the big one for me. They added a new monster. It's completely new. It's got new armor. It's got new weapons. And that's the thing. Like, people are like, hey, when you add these, like, the big complaint we hear from the audience over and over is when you're adding these heightened versions of these monsters that we're hunting again, why don't we get new armor and weapons for them? And I was like, well, that's just kicking the bucket down the road, because then you're going to be like, well, why don't we have higher ones above that? It has to end somewhere. But we have a problem in that Velcana was great. I loved that they brought a new monster in. But a lot of these title updates aren't really adding new monsters. It's like, here's this variant of this thing. It's Espinos, but now it's on fire. To me, that's not.
It's Chameleos, but on fire.
A new monster. It's it's on fire.
But you're right.
You just see flames, like
that's the problem with like Risen monsters too. That's my problem with Risen monsters too, because Risen are this like peak of difficulty for like very little reward. I say that, and yet Risen Valstrax gear, super good. Risen Teostra gear, super good. Risen Chameleos gear, super good. It's all worth doing. Yeah. But then once you're done doing it, what's the point? We're done. We're back to Talisman Farm. We're back to trying to get 5 more damage out in our builds. We're back to grinding a game that you do plateau in, right? And I don't think it's ever been like a problem for Monster Hunter players. It's just that like we did it in World and we got our enjoyment of that in World, and now we want substance in Rise, because like World Endgame, like outside of like the random decoration farm, wasn't amazing. It just had a really good gameplay system, and it was very community based, so it was easy to go back to. It was easy to keep playing again, and it was fun for us.
Definitely helped out a lot with that.
Yeah, it did. It made it feel a lot more like of a group activity. So what needs to happen is that wildhearts needs to do something to keep people coming back.
Yeah.
And like we're getting title updates, so that's good. And we're getting them kind of quickly, right? Like they're already teasing the first title update. And it'll be very exciting, you know, to see what we get. I don't know if they officially announced what it was. I do know secondhand what it. Yeah, it is a lava back. Yeah,
and it's a lava back, so it's a lava back.
Yeah. Well, they talked about they did like announce what it was going to be. Because we already do know what the other thing that they're releasing with this is. I don't know if it was a leak or if it was through official channels, which is why I don't want to talk about it.
Oh, okay.
But it needs to, because we know like they showed a silhouette of a lava back. Is it going to be a volatile lava back? Probably, because that's not in the game yet. So where you get a volatile lava back. But volatile monsters don't have new equipment. Okay. So what are we going to add that gives us new equipment? What are we going to add that adds depth to the game that's already there? And so that's
like just challenging gameplay.
Yeah, because like playing the game for the game's sake is fine, but that is one singular playthrough. You do it once, you have done it for the sake of doing it. Now, what's my reason to come back and keep doing it? This is a hunting genre game. This isn't Dark Souls. Dark Souls, you fight a boss once, you're done. It's in the past. Good, done, over. That's how that game is designed. This is different. This is a hunting genre game. We don't get one trophy deer. We want 9. We want so many. We want to eradicate the existence of these creatures. So what is the reason for us to keep doing that? The only like blatant thing is the talisman farm, which they aren't really like transparent about. Fumetto made a cool video about it, so if you're interested in the talisman farm, go check out that video. Plug in him and his stuff, because the game's not obvious about it, and that's one of the reasons to play is to get more talismans. Dude, did you know that you can get weapon skills, like skills that are only on the weapons as inherent skills on talismans?
Very rarely.
You know you can do that.
Oh wow.
Yeah, they only come from hunting requests, and that's it. So you like, I wanted to. I'm still working on like Katakoti's staff. I figured out through this you can get the mountain felling giant blade, which is the skill that makes your like fully charged sword attack do even more damage. Through weapon skills, you can get it to 70. With those talismans, you can get it to 100.
Oh wow.
And it might not cap at 100. It might be able to go to 120. I want to find out. But it's just like they aren't obvious about these things, and there are things to like grind and like work towards in the game, but it's not quite enough. Not quite enough.
Yeah, and I think you talk about they've got a couple more opportunities. They've got one that they've announced. There's going to be more title updates. What's going to be in these title updates? And if we look at Rise slowly brought out things. The first title update was finishing the game. I mean, they released an unfinished game. And then after that, they started to add a little bit more in-game stuff. And until we got the augmentations in Sunbreak, I would say Rise really didn't have a strong in-game. Augmentations, to me, was what it needed. And that came so late in the game that it's not too late for Wildhearts to add something. We might see something get added here.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like they might,
absolutely.
like, especially seeing the success it might have. I think it'll definitely go with what kind of end game it'll have too. Maybe, I don't know.
I mean, it needs to, right? If they're smart, they will work towards something that is replayable and grindable. And if they aren't, and they don't want the longevity of the game, which is also a decision. If they don't want that longevity, they won't put it in, and they'll just release the things to flesh out the game, like the chapter 5. I assume we'll see a chapter 6. Like that would be cool if we just get a chapter 6 that has either more volatile monsters, more deeply volatiles, or more content, more story, something like that would be cool. But we need more substance, reasons to hunt, more equipment, more augments to that equipment. Because like right now, Amaterasu forward, that's the only thing that's relevant. Anything pre-Amaterasu is like super not comfy. 30 defense versus like the things that are giving you like 55, 60.
Just give us when it comes to upgrade system. Really,
our armor upgrade system would be great. Let us use the magical orbs to augment the armor, but then like that's only going to go so far too, because then you're just increasing your defense. How do we change the skills? Like, are we going to change the skills on the equipment? Like, how do we expand this further? Because you can grind, and I've grinded enough in Rise. I did like when Sunbreak came out, I was accepting requests over and over again to farm spheres, like armor spheres. I did that once for a month when Sunbreak first came out, and I've never had like every quest, like I was checking it and I was doing requests. I haven't had to touch that since then, and it's been a year. So like armor upgrading done, never have to worry about it again. So it's just like what is, we need reasons to keep, I keep saying it over and over again, but we need reasons to keep playing the game.
Yeah, but at a certain point in time, the game has to end. I mean,
no, yeah,
even
just
if
not now.
Look at World. You were doing. You just mentioned it. You were doing those same 3 hunts over and over again at the end of World for a very minimal reward. Everybody had crafted everything they could craft. The only thing you could get at that point were decorations, And I'll bring it up again. People hated that decorations were put in RNG, but I think that's a huge part of why World had so much staying power. People wanted to keep going for those decorations.
I think a big plus, I've heard Gaijin Hunter talk about this a little bit too, to have specific decos tied to specific monsters. So like have a water deco 100%. Tied to a Geratodus or something like that.
100%.
Like fire related decos, like tie that to like a Teostra, like have the like specific ones maybe tied to him, like there's a higher % chance to get this for Teostra, higher % chance to get this for Rathalos, and I think that'll like make it so then you hunt those monsters more, and also like you get a higher % chance to get the decos that you need.
Yeah. I've always been an advocate for targeted rewards. Always. And like Wild Hearts is doing that with the talismans. It's just that like your chapter 1 fight and your chapter 3 fight are identical in reward type. So like go farm the chapter 1 if you really want to trivialize it. But I mean, we kind of see that with the augmenting system in Rise, where like you need to hunt specific monsters to get specific materials and you need to level them up. Like the only reason I've fought Bishotten so much is for the afflicted materials. Like, oh my god, you know, I'd never want to fight Bishotten ever again, but I do it for the anomaly materials. So like that's good too, because you get to choose from a handful of monsters, like which one you want to farm up and which one you actually want to grind. I like that because I've actually, the last time I played Rise, that's what I was doing. I was just increasing my anomaly level. But give us a sub reward, right? Like give us like something else that can be used to get the material that we want. Using anomaly rewards to like the anomaly coins to get like rare materials, very nice. Let's do that for like talismans, maybe. You know, like give us the resource to get the thing that we want, so we aren't just dumping hundreds of hours into the game for no reward. Because that'll kill anyone's motivation to play.
And I'd say the easiest thing, the most low-hanging fruit, the thing that Koei Tecmo needs to do ASAP. When you look at Monster Hunter and its staying power, a lot of that comes from influencers. And I'm specifically talking about groups like Team Darkside. Can I take down Risen Valstrax in under 90 seconds? That's content. That keeps them playing it. That keeps people watching it. That keeps it in their forefront of their mind. When your hunt timer starts, when the creature roars, and it never roars, and you beat it in 0 minutes and 0 seconds, how do you improve upon that? Change the timer to start when you load into the level. It doesn't change anything except for the benefits of the staying power of the game. Content creators will be pushing to get better times because they can get better times. You can never beat 0 minutes and 0 seconds. There's no point in even trying. So again, it seems like a silly change, but I guarantee you it's a very easy change to make that will add staying power to this game.
So that's why there's like 1 minute long speed runs. I'm just like, how the hell?
Yeah. And like even like Monster Hunter creators right now are like trying to figure out like how do we standardize this stuff. So they're like saying like you can't use fusion katakuri before the monster like roars, or you can't use fusion katakuri at all. But then like that doesn't work because there are some things that like flying monsters do that you can only interact with as a melee weapon with fusion katakuri. So like that doesn't really work. My whole thing is you have to hit the monster. Just go like the first thing you do when you interact with the monster is you have to hit it. It has to roar. If you don't hit it, if you place a trap, like that's just not part of the speed run. And there's a difference between showing off like a gimmick of like, hey, I can get a 0 timer, and there is a difference between like a competitive speed run. This is why we have rules and stuff like that. And so actually like putting that stuff into place, because everyone's freaking out like, guys, like we can't moderate, like I don't want to have a timer up on my screen. You don't need it. You're recording it. I can figure out the time from when you load into the quest to when you beat it and pull a time from that. It's easy. You can do that. You have a timer built into the video. Done.
Wait, there's a timer on this podcast? Wait a minute.
Yes, you have to. Oh my goodness.
For moderation standpoint on speedruns, leaderboards, that works. But from like a person watching standpoint, he's like, oh, it took them a minute to do it. Well, I've done it in 15 seconds, and they're thinking about completely different time systems.
Yes.
I just think there shouldn't be 2 different time systems.
No,
the fact that we need a new time system in order to gauge these things, it's just problematic.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's a huge oversight, because like one of the things I always got upset about the Monster Hunter community is like, why do you have to speedrun the game? Like, they put a timer in it. They challenged me. Like, what do you mean? You know, like, they put a timer into the game explicitly to tell me go faster. Like, if they didn't want me to go fast, they wouldn't have told me how fast I did it. And then in the same vein, like, if they put a timer in the quest, why the fuck doesn't it count down? I don't know. Let's talk about our gripes with the game, because we're kind of like, we're leaning a lot into that. Like, let's talk about our disappointments, and I've thought of some categories for this, and so I'm gonna just kind of like go through it. But I think the one thing that we can all agree on, because this isn't going to be a category, is that the art direction of the game is 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
The game's beautiful.
Yeah,
the game is
gorgeous.
Stunning. Everything is built like so nicely and so beautifully, like game stunning. So we can agree that art direction is not going to come up in this conversation.
I got one. I got a really good one.
As far as art direction,
crafting Karakuri, and you're trying to craft a fusion Karakuri, why does it change where the cursor is to be diagonal? I can't build a fusion Karakuri diagonally, and it gets worse when you're on multiplayer. It's like it does some sort of synchronization with other players, and it's like you're not actually looking there, you're looking over here. If I enter a sequence of 6 buttons while I'm holding left bumper, I don't care if the game thinks I moved. It should build that fusion Karakuri.
Yeah.
I was gonna start with combat, and I knew you were gonna bring that up instantly.
My only gripe is I haven't gone past character creation.
Boo! Hush you.
That's on you.
No, I know.
Take some personal responsibility.
I just want to put my part, okay? I'm kidding.
I think that Fusion Karakuri are super cool. I think the way that Fusion Karakuri are implemented and coded is so fucking aggravating. 100%. Oh my god, I've never wanted to throw a controller more in my life.
Perfect idea of a fantastic idea that maybe you just shouldn't be doing. You either need to add implementations to detect what people intended to do, or just say in the future generation, hey, you know, plot wise, you can say this happens, but when I press B, it just builds a gate. Yeah. I think the easiest solution out of this is to just say, you know, it's still happening story wise, but mechanically you press a button and it just builds the thing.
Yeah.
And we really are Fortnite.
Then we really are Fortnite. Combat wise, Nigiri, like what's one thing that irks you? What's one con to the combat?
I think it's like the desync, or like the as well that you guys are talking about. And same as well, we did talk about the building character.
If you were complaining about the camera earlier.
Sorry. Yeah.
Holy shit.
Sorry.
How did we forget about the worst Dark Souls boss in the game?
The worst Dark Souls boss.
Yeah, with the camera, or like you're trying to do the hunter's arm and the monster is just like all over the place. It actually makes me like motion sickness, because I do have that.
I was getting motion sickness just watching you guys like latch onto it. I was like, good lord.
Sometimes I kind of like have to look away, and then I know I've activated the hunter's arm, and I'll just do that, and I was like, yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Did you guys see my clip of me trying to use Hunter's Arm on Grit Dog?
I saw that. I saw that clip.
I probably should.
I forgot exactly what happened, but I remember it was hilarious.
It took me like 45 seconds to get to the spot. I jumped on the spot, but then it like moved me down, moved me over, moved me underneath. I was inside of it. The camera was freaking out. And then finally I got it. And it took so long to do. And the entire time I felt bad. I really should have put like a motion sickness warning at the beginning of that clip or something. Because like, I couldn't. I was so frustrated at that point too with the game. I was like, I can't stand this thing. This is awful. This is the worst.
God, it reminded me when I was like, I modded worlds, so then the monster sizes can be astronomically huge. Like they were ginormous. I clutch clawed into the monster as they were huge, and I was just spinning in circles. It was too much, but it reminded me of that, and I was just like, oh no.
The only way you can properly move while you're hanging onto a monster is to manually change your camera. That way it's looking at you from the back. And the problem with that is the monster moves so quickly, it's hard to control the camera. The camera often, you got the situation where there's a wall. Your camera doesn't want to go through the wall. So it just clips And
It's bad.
how do you do that? Fantastic game, but I mean, there's some parts like the camera that really you got to ask yourself, what were they thinking?
Yeah, we've been talking hours about how much we've enjoyed the game. Let's talk about how we hate it. Because I would say small monsters. Small monsters are awful. Small monsters are the worst. Small monsters are terrible. Small monsters shouldn't exist. Small monsters should not be the scariest thing on the map when I'm trying to use Juggernaut Blade. I get tapped out of so many fully charged sword attacks.
You feel your pain. Third swing.
You should focus on them. You cannot focus on the tiny kimonos.
Spore tail.
Spore tail is the worst one.
Oh, the tiny ones. Oh my gosh.
Oh man.
Not only do I spend all the time killing them all, he just brings them all back.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, okay, well, that was a waste of my time. Let's just go back to fighting the monster. And then I'm like, oh yes, chain trap down. First hit from the full body blow. Second hit from the full body blow. Third hit's coming. Tapped by a monster. I stop my attack entirely.
Well, so the cool thing is, Maul has a skill that prevents that.
So does the car. Yeah, so does the Curry staff, but that skill doesn't make my damage go higher.
I feel like you have a reason to get that skill. It's worth investing in.
This is also something that I say after every single gripe with my game. It's a skill issue. Other than the camera, it's a skill issue. Everything that aggravates me about this game is just me playing like either impatiently or incorrectly. It's a skill issue.
I'll throw the Fusion Karakuri building on there too, because I mean network connections and stuff like.
Oh, well, so I've never played multiplayer, so I've never seen like the desync in. I played multiplayer once accidentally because I didn't realize I sent out a request when I started a Golden Tempest, and so I did that and I started running. I was like, who the fuck are these people? Oh, whoops.
Well, the same thing happened in Nigiri, and this one's kind of funny. It gave her the prompt saying, hold down to summon to put out a multiplayer.
I still don't see it.
She doesn't know how people wound up in her game, so I go back and I watch the replay. She's building Dragon Karakuri. You know how you build Dragon Karakuri? Left bumper, down on D-pad. As soon as she presses that down on D-pad, you just see the flicker of the bar, and it just fills instantly, and she goes multiplayer.
I still don't see it. I was like, oh my gosh, I have to disable that happened like probably twice or three times. I was like, how are these people getting into my game? I was like,
I didn't realize. Yeah, that's bad design if that input is also reading another input for another menu.
That's really weird.
Yep.
Fix your shit.
Is showing how the controls work in the game, does that always stay up? Like, is that always there?
You can turn it off. It's a customizable thing in the HUD.
Gosh.
Yeah, I turned it off.
Yeah.
I'm also trying to figure out how to turn off the tutorial tips after each time that I faint. Because I'll get fainted and the game's like, you should practice your combos against the training dummy. And I'm like, you should shut the fuck up and God damn it. I placed down 6 boxes. It placed 4 and 2. You tell me what I did wrong.
That's so funny.
It is hilarious. Yeah.
I wonder if it's like this.
Gosh.
I wonder if the game devs knew, because they had to have died to like.
They had to have. I can't figure out how to turn those off though. It's honestly the most toxic. You can't.
They know.
So
I'm
toxic.
sure they have to have known that they would. This would appear every time you die. It has to be like just a poke. You should practice against the testing time.
Did you know that there are elemental resistances and damages? You should try those. Like, shut the fuck up, Raw's better.
I mean, that message needs to come up after people lose to Lava Back the first time, because this game elements are so much more important than what we've been trained for in Monster Hunter. Mm-hmm. Like Lava Back, when you and they trick you into this in the game. All the early armor that you build, if you follow the storyline leading up to Lava Back, is gonna have like negative fire resistance. So you go to Lava Back with like -10 fire resistance. Oh yeah. And you don't realize how bad that is.
I really like the Deathstalker gear, so I built full Deathstalker. And then I like sat there, I farmed all that, I did all that thing, and then the game was like, all right, cool. Now for you to go to fight Golden Tempest and Ember Plume. I was like, all right, sure, whatever. Golden Tempest, no problem. Easy peasy, super fun fight, had a blast. Ember Plume, did I just get one shot? Oh my God, I got one shot again. What's happening? Why is this game suddenly impossibly difficult? Someone in chat goes, what armor are you wearing? Is that Deathstalker? I'm like, yeah. And they're like, check your fire resistance. minus 25. And I was like,
Oh.
that makes sense. But I got into this mindset. I was so annoyed because it's like, I can either go back, farm something else that has the fire resistance, have less defense, and then come back to this thing and fight it like kind of, handicapped. Or I can just deal with it, dodge everything, don't get hit, and then kill it, and then have what I need. And so I did that instead and screamed at the game the entire time.
So basically like the Gore Magala armor with the negative fire resistance on that, and I just refused to take it off because I love Gore.
And I refused to take it off because I'm stubborn. Because this was my thing too. So I was farming lava back and ember plume for a weapon upgrade, and I was like, listen, I need the weapon upgrade. I can either farm this thing and get the armor and then go back and farm it, or I can farm this thing, get the weapon upgrade, and then not worry about it. So I'm going to do that one, and it was far more aggravating.
For anybody who's stuck, like dealing with, Tony the Tiger or the Peacock, I would say,
is it? Wait.
Don't even get me started. Koei Tecmo wants people to have nightmares about tigers. Okay, they released this game. The tiger is brutal. They just released another game, Wolong. Every corner I go around in Wolong, there's a tiger there, and it mauls me and it kills me. And Koei Tecmo knows what they're doing, because if you look at the creatures that are in Wolong, they're the same as the creatures that are in Wild Hearts. They've got King Tusk. They've got these things. They want you to be afraid of tigers. Okay, rant over.
Is Tony the Tiger Golden Tempest?
Yes.
Yeah. If anybody's struggling at that point in the game, Ember Plume armor, exceptionally good. Taking you towards the end, very high wind resistance, very high fire resistance, and the very I'm gonna say probably not the best name they could have given it, skill Deaf Ears, which is earplugs.
Super
very
good.
useful.
That armor set also has devastation on it, which is going to reduce your max defense but give you like the damage increase. I checked it. That defense decrease, not enough for the amount of damage increase that you give. So use devastation. It's comfy. It's free.
It's free.
It really is.
Oh damn.
I said the
all
wrong
right, so
thing.
that's...
I meant to say Fumebeak. I think I said Ember Plume, but whatever.
Oh yeah. Fumebeak, Fumebeak also has Deaf Ears on it. Yeah, the Kinku armor
that's
set.
what I was thinking. I think
It does.
Yeah. Both sets do. And they also have the solar protection or night protection, which I thought was really neat. I like those skills. I think they're cute additions.
Change it.
Yeah,
that's kind of cool. You don't want to hunt at night? Go rest in your tent. Make it daytime.
And now you can hunt. And you get a damage increase because you have solar protection. Let's talk about what other, I don't know, combat's like the only thing that I have like a big gripe with. I mean, we can talk about the I don't know. What are the gripes you guys have?
Limited weapons in the game. They make you do the first hunt with the Karakuri Katana. As somebody who wants different speedrun categories for different weapons. Now this is where it gets confusing. If you're gonna have, I don't mean categories, but I mean
subcategories.
Now you have to have these multiplicative things instead of there being like 8 different categories. Now there's like, okay, well, what did you use for chapter 1? Multiplied by what did you use for chapter 2, because there might be a maul/cannon run versus a katana/cannon run versus, it just adds to all these different flavors, and I think it just gets too many. I get the plot reason why they made the cannon unlock in chapter 2.
It's just annoying that they force you to use it.
Were locked. The rest of them being locked didn't make any sense to me.
Oh yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah, I mean, I was looking at this game like RTA wise too, like how would I track it? I wouldn't. It's any percent one category. Yeah, because like weapon choice, it's a lot like Monster Hunter, where like weapon choice is a lot of like your own personal preference plus what's good for that moment. And the way you upgrade stuff too, it's like real tedious. You're only ever going to build like one weapon for the entire run. Building a second weapon is kind of difficult. When
you refund, you get everything back. So one thing I'm looking at for Tony the Tiger, because I'm having a hard time with Maul. What if I go bow on Tony the Tiger? Now I just need to make sure I have enough money, and you have more than enough money in the game.
Oh yeah, you always do.
And rebuild twice.
Yeah, oh, wow. Yeah. Those the tokens that you get from each hunt, you just go and sell those bad boys. Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, like, it'll be interesting. I think for a game like that, it's just going to take time. It's going to take people running it, and it's going to take time, and it's going to take really like finding out like what is an unfair comparison so we can have a robust speedrunning community, I think just any percent is the safest thing for right now. And then later you can add in those subcategories. You can add in those things afterwards that will differentiate.
Especially
the hard
with the more
thing
people
is
come in.
removing. Yeah. It's easy to add. It's insanely difficult to remove anything. Like the moment you start removing categories, runs disappear. And you're like, I don't know where it went. You got to resubmit, sorry. So that's why we don't do that. But I mean, even like we're talking about it like the next Monster Hunter game, how much more simple we're going to go when it comes to RTA tracking. Like we're going to streamline everything for the next game. You know, we probably aren't going to have multiple categories. We probably aren't going to have the multiple weapons and stuff like that. We'll make suggestions for partial speedrun categories, like partial 90% speedrun categories, but we're not going to have them because we're just going to call it any percent. And when a DLC comes out, we'll call it DLC percent, and that's it. And that's the game, because it's confusing to be like, this is Zora 1%, this is Zora 2%, this is Zora 3%. Like it's confusing.
Yeah,
you know,
this is so much.
This is Apex Arzuros percent. That's nothing.
Yeah,
any percent. Like if for Rise, I wanted to do village percent and hub percent. You know, 80% village and 80% hub.
I'm fine with that. Yeah, I think you have to have village though. I think you can't do
in that aspect. You do, but we need to like the opportunity to play through the game first, which is why I always put like a month embargo on games before we made categories for them. Like we did the month embargo for Iceborne, we did the month embargo for Rise and Sunbreak, we did a month embargo for even Stories, and like for Stories 2, I said, guys, we aren't doing anything with this for a month. Stop trying to speedrun it, please. You know,
yeah.
Go do demo percent. We already set that one up. But it all that stuff like takes time, right? It takes people running the game. You know, like the biggest problem with World when it first came out is that there was one person, two people doing runs. You know, and then like as World got a little more popular, we got a handful more people, and we started noticing problems in tracking. And then Sunbreak comes out, and the same thing happens again. You know, we get a handful of people running the game, and we notice a problem in tracking, and we notice a problem in verification because people are doing things differently. Like we can't cover everything when only two people are speedrunning the game. You know, so it's all a work in progress. It all takes time. It all takes people putting the time into it and making that commitment, but it'll get there. And Wild Hearts, I mean, I think Wild Hearts can get there too. I think it should just be one category, any percent, and don't even track weapons, because like you like if you want to track it in the description, but like tracking it on a leaderboard is so much harder. At least in Monster Hunter, you can like actually, you know, you don't use a weapon on any hunts, right? You don't use a weapon for anything. And with Wild Hearts, you could say like, okay, like your weapon choice, when you start the game with the Katakuri Katana and you do the first hunt with the Katakuri Katana, like that's expected. And then, you know, yes, you're going to have cannon on Earthshaker, like that's expected. But then like your other weapon choices, that's the category you're running in. That's just sloppy, right? That's just sloppy. It's just messy.
Too over the place.
Yeah, and just like Dark Souls, there's multiple weapons in Dark Souls and Souls-like games. They don't separate them. They don't make them different categories. It's all just any percent. And we find what the fastest combination is and what the fastest strategy is, and we just call it that. Because like, could you imagine if they made a category for Elden Ring for each weapon that you could have possibly started with in the game? Like, this is not going to happen. Like that's not practical. No. And so that's something that I've been like really doing, especially for the next Monster Hunter game, is looking how other leaderboards track what they do. How does everyone else do it? What do they call things? Let's standardize. Let's start being a part of this community. And Wild Hearts, it's just going to take runners to get to that point. You know, because like even this morning, Rune sends me the leaderboard for Wild Hearts. He's like, this dude needs help. And I looked at it. And unfortunately, I think it looks fine right now, but I also haven't speedrun the game yet. I don't understand the limitations of that leaderboard and that style and that setup. Because like, I also don't understand why they have like chapters 1 through 5 listed in any percent too. Like, are we just doing a chapter 1 speedrun? I don't get that.
Yeah. The main thing that I'm thinking of there is that there's not like the run begins here, the run ends here. Like there's
they need that polish.
There are rules. And I think you've gone through this before. You know you've made mistakes, you've learned from them,
Yeah.
and I think just reaching out to the person who's running this leaderboard could be great. Just saying, hey, I did this on here. Here's what we did. Maybe copy and paste this. If you have any questions, reach out. I think that would go a long way.
That's smarter. Yeah, absolutely. Because now that you mention that, yes, it doesn't say the run starts here, the run ends here. It doesn't say how to do your timing. It doesn't say what is allowed and isn't allowed. But we also just don't know what those exploits and limitations are quite yet. But we can at least figure out when does time start and when does time end, and that needs to be listed in there. Yeah.
Well, that's going to be a big point of contention. Because does time end when you get the final blow, or does time end when credits start? Because there's things you do in between the final blow and the credits rolling.
Right.
So,
yeah. So and that's and for something like that, like I mean, in Monster Hunter, we've always decided like what's the last input, and for like Xeno%, it's when Xeno dies, because the 60-second end timer does nothing and you go right into the credits. So why end it anytime after that? And in Ultura%, for stories, it's when it fades to black. So we find the first frame that is entirely black, and then that's the end of time, right? So like these are all possible things. It just takes runs and takes experience to do them.
Exactly. And I'm doing runs now that I know we're gonna not have any staying power. People are going to come behind me. I'm going to come behind and wreck these rounds. But I want to start getting that built. And so I'm stopping my timer as soon as credits start. Because the last thing and somebody can come through and they can count the number of frames. They can look at the video and say it's this long. But I want to kind of establish, I don't want to cut my timer short and then make somebody have to.
I do the same thing for Ultura%. I stop my timer when the cutscene starts too, because I can at least go back and see where the timer was on that first frame of black screen. And that's always a smart thing to do with a manual timer. Like that's just good speedrun knowledge.
So what if they made an anime based off of Wild Hearts?
I'd watch it. I would hope it's better than the story, because those would be one of my gripes. Story sucks. Story is so boring. Oh my god. The story is so boring. I tried my damnedest to get invested in this fucking game. I really did. I really did. And so even beyond the fact that the English script was written by English AI, it's not good. Like just the way things were translated and the way that like is talked is very robotic, and it's not great, guys. The story itself and the content to it is very bland. It's very unimaginative, other than like the kimono encroaching into the territory of Minato. That's about the only interesting thing that's happening. That's the only like compelling thing to like actually go out and hunt. But what the fuck is the end? Like it's raining, better go hunt that thing because Majima told me to. Like is that the only reason to go and sacrifice myself, is because it's raining a little bit? And like one of the NPCs like, oh, like in this rate, like Minato is gonna fall into the ocean. Like, okay, that's not compelling to stop the everything else redeems this game.
You're gonna disagree with me on this, but I feel like this genre just doesn't have great stories.
No, I agree. Monster Hunter World, bad story. Monster Hunter Rise, also like a very incredibly mediocre story. Most compelling part of Monster Hunter Rise was saving Fiorane in Sunbreak. That's it. That's the only reason why I kept playing. I was like, oh, we gotta save her. She's waifu. We gotta help.
She's waifu. We gotta help.
Oh my gosh. Nigiri, what about you? How did you feel about the story of this game?
Yeah, same thing with you guys. I still don't know. I was actually trying to figure out, what happened to the mask guy? I mean, I know he's kind of like disappeared. Is he a ghost? I know. I was like, trying to figure out what. Oh, is he celestial? Okay.
I saw him for quite a bit. The mask guy. Yeah. I saw him for quite a bit.
He comes around a bunch. Yeah, Skull. Yeah, you saw him a lot. You saw him at that campfire. 90% of your playthrough was just looking at him.
Exactly.
38 minutes of it. This is what I figured out about Majima. And this is just my guess, because when he's in your house, when it starts raining, he's telling you about what every hunter tried to do. And at the same time, you're getting these like echoes of other voices. Those are all of the hunters before you. And my guess is the same ones that had that Karakuri piece that's in your heart. That is the kind of like reincarnation of the hunter each time, over and over again. And each time they have tried to defeat this creature, the celestial dragon, and then the celestial being. for whatever fucking reason, who knows? Maybe because it was raining a little too much. But like that was the whole
slight
intent
drizzle.
of Majima. Majima wants you to fight the celestial being. I think it's because their like souls are tied to the mountain and they're stuck there, and the celestial being is the embodiment of previous hunters, and you defeating that is releasing them. I don't know. That's my guess. But when Majima like tells you about it, and when you start climbing the mountain, you're getting like all these other voices telling you the story of the other hunters and like what the other hunters did. And they're different voices. Sometimes they're Majima, sometimes it's a female voice, sometimes it's another rough and grunted voice, and there's like an echo behind it too of other voices. So I figured that Majima is just the embodiment of all of the other hunters, and that's why he knows so much about like the katakuri and the kimono and stuff like that, which is cool, just insanely unimpactful and like unnecessary, and like it held no other impact or story driving element other than the fact that he asked you to go and do it.
Yeah.
Very boring. I could write a better story. I'm on it.
Go for it.
Go.
We're gonna fix Wild Hearts.
Well, another thing we gotta keep in mind, and when we talk about Wild Hearts, there's so few, I'm gonna call them key quests, so few opportunities to have required plot. Like the vast majority of the game is skippable. I think like a full clear of the game is, I don't know, maybe like 15 hunts. I'd have to
15 or
count
16.
how many splits I have.
Wow,
it's not
really?
many. It's not many at all.
Yeah, to like actually like just machine gun through all of the chapters is relatively quick. You know, you're spending the majority of your time running around like trying to keep up with the monster, which is where you can take advantage of like zip lines and
That's
stuff
what
like
we
that.
need to complain about.
Oh yeah, that's what we need to
Why
complain
is the
about.
monster moving tied to health. Why? Why?
It seems like a good idea on paper, but it's so horribly implemented, because Monster Hunter does the same thing. But Monster Hunter has two conditions: time and health. You either reach 30% of the health, get the monster limping, or like 4 minutes passes. It needs to be time gated to a certain amount of time, and then you know, look at it afterwards. Is it limping? It goes back to its den. Is it still healthy? It's going to go somewhere else and continue fighting. It's like there's a reason why Monster Hunter has done that same formula over and over and over again. It's because it works, and it needs to be implemented here, because like legitimately, I've never been more aggravated when the first time I fight a monster, I fight it in the first area for like a minute and a half, and then it transitions to 2 areas. I'm chasing it.
Oh, like that? Wait, so what you're saying is that like if you get its health down to like, let's say to where it would go to the 3rd stage, it would just go, it would just walk all the way to, it would go to the second stage and then to the 3rd stage? Like it doesn't stay
Sometimes
there?
yes. Sometimes yes.
God.
The RTA is going to come down to dealing the right amount of damage, and you might deal too much damage in these speedruns. You might cause it to go to an area that you don't want it to go to at an inopportune time. And it's like, because let's say that there's an area right here, and like this is one of the areas, but like there might be another area here. It won't actually run to the area. It'll go to a fork point for the area and then veer off in its behavior. So how far it's programmed to go before it fully enters the area. So you're going to want to a lot of times be in a condition where it's like, I need to deal enough damage to not send it to phase 3, because we want to completely avoid phase 3, because there's a longer walking way to phase 3 before the road branches off to phase 4. So in phase 1, we need to make sure that we deal enough damage to get to phase 2, and then in phase 2 we need to skip phase 3 and get to...
Good lord.
It's awful. The way that the monster AI is just designed terribly.
Yeah,
because I've experienced that too, that you guys were saying, like it would go to, like you're hunting in the first place, it would go to the second place. So I was like setting up traps there, and then it would go back to their first place. So I was like,
that's the worst. When Arena 1 and Arena 3 are the same, that is the worst.
Oh man.
And it doesn't skip them. It doesn't, like, the only time it'll skip them is if the path is like different, right? So like if it would go from like area 1 to 2 back to 1 to 3 and then to like 4, if you skip all of these ones, it will just go straight to area 4. If you didn't, it'll go over here, and then it'll come over here, and then it'll go back over here, and then it'll go over there, and then it'll come back here, and then it's just annoying.
Never do that, please.
It's terrible. Guys, it's awful. Please fix that. Do something about it. Just put a timer on it. That's it. I'm asking for 4 minutes. 4 minutes between transitions. Either 20% health happens or 4 minutes, whichever happens first. No, excuse me. Get rid of the 20%. Just do 4 minutes or limping. That's it.
Oh,
Like,
And it gets a little bit tricky on top of that because you have continuity issues now when you're talking about story play. Some of the things are the fights are meant to end in certain areas, and if they don't end in that area, suddenly you've got a cutscene and you're like, where am I? What's happening?
That's fine. I don't care. I don't care about that. I'd rather have fun than continuity. Like, honestly, realistically, because like Monster Hunter does the same thing too. Like, you'll end a fight and then your cutscene's like back in the camp, or like you're in the Coral Highlands, or like who knows? The continuity's sake there can like absolutely just be either overlooked or explained that you walked somewhere else. Like, whatever.
Yeah. I think the average person is not going to have that issue. Deathstalker is the big one that comes to mind. The end of chapter 2 Deathstalker, where suddenly you're supposed to be on the top of a building. Well, you had to climb to the top of the building in the middle of the fight, and I think that's probably the biggest continuity error. But the average person's not going to run into this. But a hilarious thing you can do if you're fighting a Sportail, you can, while it's moving, you can actually wedge your hunter inside of the area between its tail and the mushroom, and it will push you along with it. So you can just ride along while you're attacking its tail.
What?
Huh. I didn't know that.
I want to do that.
It's very, very, very tricky to get.
Man.
Talking about the top of the frozen kind of like hideaway, the frozen castle. Fuyu Gashu or something like that.
Fuyu Fort, yeah, something.
Yeah, Fuyusagi.
All the names translate to different seasons. If you've run these through Google Translate, they all translate to spring, summer, fall, winter.
Yeah.
Learn something.
The frozen place. I can't stand this, but when you fight Deathstalker and he goes up to the very top and he freezes that area up there, sometimes that area, like after you beat it, will go away, but the edge won't. And so you'll have like all of the like edge textures and the edge like object elements, like the pieces of like ice and stuff like that, still loaded in, but the ground's gone.
Oh.
Yeah. My last run, I got there before it was created, and I was like, "What's going on?"
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and it kind of looks like shit.
Oh no.
Yeah, it's like such like a cool moment, like such a cool area, and it's completely destroyed by just like bad programming.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Huh.
That's the sort of thing the person would miss if they're not fast enough too. And you got to think somebody's first time trying to keep up with the wolf, they're not going to go fast enough. They don't even know it's going all the way up to the roof.
Yeah, exactly. No, yeah, this is just like replay problems, like polish that we only notice like 3 or 4 times after.
Oh,
you know?
absolutely.
Because I didn't notice it until like after the fight, like after I'd done the fight a couple of times, I was like, wait a minute, the fuck, this doesn't look right at all. But all right, do we have any more gripes? Do we have any more negativity? I know we've like talked about a couple like intermittently, and we've hit like the big ones, the monster AI with like retreating and the camera, and like the kind of like lack of endgame content. I think those are like the 3 big ones.
Yeah. Something gripe adjacent. I just checked the Steam review. It's no longer marked as negative. It's now marked as mixed.
Hey.
When it first came out, it was very negative, and now they got it up to mixed. So that's quite a comeback.
That's good to hear.
And credit where credit is due. That's one of the places that they dropped the ball at, is making a consistently performing game across PC. You know, yes, that's a difficult thing to do, but this was bad. Like that's bad. We are in that group of people who are fortunate enough to have computers and consoles that will run the game at a stable frame rate and at a stable setting. But the majority of people, they either don't have the funds to keep up, or they aren't able to get the next gen consoles and stuff like that. And if you're going to market these games on previous gen consoles or for these specific specs, it's gotta work. It's gotta, and even us, like even with higher end built PCs, they aren't keeping up the way they should be. Like, yes, like you're running, I don't know, Rune, how often you experience this. I get frame drops like all the time right now. I'll get like staggers.
I I spent a lot of money on this computer.
Yeah. No, like, you built like a current like.
Yeah.
Yeah, like which
Partnered with
CPU?
a gaming PC company, so I got like a 4090 with a 13th gen i7, I believe.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, the 13700K. Yeah, no, that thing's a absolute monster. And it works perfectly for this game because the game doesn't use multi-threading at all. So I'm sitting over here with my AMD 3900X, which is a multi-threaded CPU, which does really good for multitasking. But then, like, the moment that like you run a CPU heavy game, it starts to lag if the game doesn't know how to use multi-threading. Like I'm pushing like 60% CPU and still getting frame drops. It's like, no, you use more of it, please, and it won't because it doesn't know how to multi-thread. What about you, Nigiri? Gameplay wise, like performance wise?
Yeah, same. The people have been talking about like the slow-mo bug. I have not experienced that. I would experience stuttering, sometimes like frame drop, but also like the I'm on a boss about to beat it, crash.
Oh, you've had crashes?
Poor heart.
Oh,
no. Yeah, I haven't had.
And
I
I know it's coming too because the game would just freeze stuff. I was like, okay, capture card, cover everything, restart the game.
Dang.
Oh, dang.
Yeah, performance issues like that when a game first comes out on a game that quite frankly has the resources to test that stuff or has the resources to avoid that stuff, like it's really disappointing. And so I mean, like, is the review bombing a little excessive? Yeah, but that's customer relations, that's customer review. A person who has a good experience will tell one person, a person who has a bad experience will tell three. You know, like we are more vocal when we are upset.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Because like when there's nothing going on, why talk about it?
Yeah.
It's
like
just
we expect good things. We talk about bad things.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what's really funny? The number of times people showed up because Nigiri, she was doing a sponsor stream, and when you're doing a sponsor stream, FTC disclosures, you need to make sure everybody's aware it's sponsored. So we had to have a watermark on her stream, and people were constantly like, "So what's your real opinion of this game? Like, would you play it if you weren't sponsored to play it?" And she's like, "I've been playing this game for 2 weeks straight. How often do you see that logo up there?"
Yeah, right.
Exactly.
But
it's the same guy.
Really
like it's like one person comes in. I've seen you all week, and then you come in on the sponsored stream. So what's your unsponsored opinion? I was like,
game's good. What's your sponsored opinion? Game's good. Weird, they're the same.
It was the same thing on
like,
Super Red's review. When
that's
he was
what I was about to say.
Yeah,
yep.
he was talking about the game, and there was like a major backlash on the fact that it was sponsored. And it's just like, what's your real review? And it's like, what?
Because people expect that because you're being sponsored, which like even in a sense, like I was sponsored, they gave me a early access copy of the game. I'll still say the bad shit about the game. I'll still say the things that aggravate me. Ultimately, when it comes down to it, I enjoy the game, and I think it's a good pay for EA Pass or Game Pass buy right now, because you know, who knows if you're gonna be able to play it, right? Like that's the big problem right now. If you could play it, $70 game all day long. I got 80 hours out of it, and I could get more, and I would like to get more. But yeah, no, it's so ignorant to be like, oh, you're sponsored, you can't even like give your honest opinion because they're paying you to tell. Like, no, that's not how sponsorship works. Like, any of these people that come in and like tell you that you can't give your real opinion on the game because you're sponsored have never been sponsored before ever in their life for anything.
I think it's worth going over a quick chat about what a typical sponsorship means. Bagel, you didn't sign a contract, right? They just gave you a key, and they probably said, did they say don't stream past a certain point in the game?
Nope.
Okay, they're just like, here's a key. Bagel had
like, here's a key, have fun.
Obligation. Could turn the game on and say trash about it the entire time. Yes. We had a contract. We're not going to go into the details of the contract, but I'll tell you, we've seen a lot of gaming contracts in the past, and there's always in them every single time a clause that says, if you do not like this game, you can back out of this contract. If you play this game for whatever reason you don't like it, you're covered. Just back out of the contract. And people will do that. Like if we were playing a game and we legitimately like did not enjoy it, period, or maybe we were unable to play it, we would back out. And people need to understand that is in there. When people are doing something and they're saying what they're saying, they also have a clause in almost every contract that says, we are not telling you what to say. You must speak your own words. You must speak your own opinions. And people don't realize that's in contracts. And like every single contract we've had, it says you must share your true opinion. We are not telling what's. They'll give you talking points, and like every contract, they'll say, here's the things we want you to hit on about the game. Do it however you want to do it, but these are the marketing terms. But they will never tell you say this, and they will never tell you say the game is good. Not once in any contract we've seen.
They legitimately can't do that. Like it's false advertising at that point. You can get sued. They can get sued. Like you just don't do that. You cannot be paid for an opinion like that. There's a difference between making a commercial and making sponsored content. A commercial is a script where they tell you, yes, please open up our mobile game and say it's the best thing you've ever made, like, and best thing you've ever played, and like put that, and we're gonna put that on YouTube to play between every single one of your videos. Like that's what we're gonna do. That's a commercial. This is not a commercial. This is a sponsorship. They're paying content creators to give their honest opinion about a game to their community. Because if I'm going to be honest, if they gave me like a fucking script to read, I would pull it up on a piece of fucking paper and start reading and be very obvious about it.
I've seen people do that too.
Yeah. That's when you know they're paying me to say specific words.
We're all Skoj, are you American? Do you reside in the US now? I think you do.
Yeah, I'm still in the US.
Yeah. So we're all bound under FTC. So know where your streamers are located, know their legal obligations, FTC obligations. You must disclose if you were given something for free, and you absolutely must disclose if you were given something in exchange for something. So all the people that were streaming Wild Hearts, you can see in their title #EA partner. That means they were provided the game for free. If you see #sponsored by EA or something like that, that means that there is money changing hands in exchange for content being produced. And you can look these up on the FTC website. They outline this stuff, and know what they mean. Don't accuse people of saying certain things. Again, what people would did in Superrad's comment section was just not understanding. Oh, actually, he's Canadian, I think. So I don't. It's probably different up there. But I'm sure they have probably stricter stuff than us.
Canadians, man, you can't trust a word they say.
No, I can't trust Liz at all.
Nope, not even a little bit.
But before you pass judgment, learn what these terms mean. It's all available on the website. Check it out.
Yeah.
Any person could have gone and figured that out.
Oh yeah. I do need to get going. I'm so sorry.
Armrest researchers. No, you're good. I think we were getting up to the end, unless you guys had anything else that you wanted to say.
I like ranting about things, but I can't think of anything.
Dude, I know.
You two went off today.
Well, it's the same last time we did. I complained for like 2 hours straight last time we recorded one of these.
It's great. No, honestly,
so good.
It's great.
Love complaining.
Oh,
I just, once again, if you do want to play Wild Hearts and you are not comfortable spending $70 on a video game because it's a lot of money, remember your options. EA Pass and Game Pass, Xbox Game Pass are options for you to play this game for cheaper. $5 a month gets you access to either of those games. Game Pass can work on the Windows app on PC, and EA Pass works for a copy on Steam.
Oh, so another huge plus about this game is that it's crossplay. It is crossplay.
Say that again.
Another huge plus about this game is that it is crossplay.
Yeah. I forget.
Yeah, no, it is crossplay. I haven't played multiplayer, so I really can't speak on that.
Yeah,
single player is a lot of fun.
I had no issues. The one thing you do want to do if you do multiplayer, there's a setting to only play with people who have a good connection. Check that box. Played with a lot of people in Japan. It's the other side of the world. Networks don't go that fast. Yeah. There's issues. So check that box.
Yeah.
Just remember your options. Keep yourself informed. Keep an eye on patches if that's what you're worried about. And you can spend $5 and try out the game instead of spending $70. You can also spend $70 on Steam, try out the game, and if it doesn't run for you, refund it. That's an option.
And it's not Monster Hunter.
That's what I did, because I bought the game and they gave me a copy. I was like, whoops.
I'll spend 2 hours in character creation and be unable to refund. SkojSkull, look at you.
They'll still refund you. They absolutely will.
Once you passed 2 hours, it was no longer no questions asked, and you had to go into
special exceptions.
If you message, that happened with me in Black Ops 3.
You can message them.
When there was one point where I was playing Black Ops 3, and for some reason I couldn't get past the menu, and I've been trying every which way that I could, but then my playtime showed that I had over 2 hours. I was like, fuck. But I reached out to them. I talked to like Steam customer service and stuff like that. I think they could tell because I had 0 achievements that I did not play any part of the game, so they gave me a full refund. Or this, I think they gave me a full refund.
That's definitely a good example. Yeah.
Yeah.
Know your resources. Yeah, because I mean they'll also check like your refund history and stuff like that too. Like if you're refunding a game every week, I only got 3 character creation. It says I have 6 hours in the game, and you're doing that like once a week. Like they aren't going to refund you shit.
No. But yeah.
All right.
With that,
Sko, you want to close this out?
Yeah, thank you all so much for watching. Thank you all so much for listening. If you're listening on Spotify, definitely recommend checking out these two. Definitely check out the YouTube channel, and they're on Twitch. Oh, there we go. And
did say he was gonna mess with it during the stream.
Do it.
Thank you two so much for coming on again. It was absolutely wonderful talking with you two again. Always love it. And yeah, is there anything you two want to say before we?
I really enjoy doing this. Like,
yeah, I know. Same. It's always a pleasure talking with you guys. So definitely check out SkojSkull and Jalbagel as well.
Are you plugging us on our own podcast?
Wait,
Totally.
we might take clips of this, put it on YouTube or something. I don't know. You're allowed to steal clips of other people's videos and make shorts out of them now.
You can do if you do that. Yeah. Yep. If you leave that check box on, oh my god, help.
Oh.
Can't talk.
But yeah, thank you all so much, and we'll see you all in the next one. What is your mouth?
Oh god, why do you have to ruin it every time?
I did it. Much love you guys.
All right.
Bye.